for Valorant and boosting your FPS, but don't want to click it just yet, I'll leave a card to it in the top right. It'll be a bit more in depth and show you a couple more settings for both Windows, Nvidia, and also maybe a couple of the in-game settings that you might have already done before, but there's a couple that are a little bit experimental, and I would recommend following along with the ones that I do in the video. I will link it at the end of this video right here now, just so that you can watch this one first and then go check out the more in-depth one after. Right, kicking off again with some more settings. What you want to do is type in graphics into your search bar again in Windows, and you should be met with this screen here. Now there's two options, or at least there should be two options for you: hardware accelerated GPU scheduling and variable refresh rate. Well, I would recommend turning both of these off straight away. I've had a lot of trouble with the scheduling in the past, particularly with Warzone and other Call of Duties that have created a lot of stuttering and hitching, and the variable refresh rate is a setting you should have off anyway. Going into G-Sync and FreeSync, a lot of that is just a completely different topic, a different video, and I would recommend checking out more in-depth guides on that to do that. But keep refresh rate off and keep the scheduling off. Now, the bottom setting here, the performance preference, I have tested with Call of Duty, but I didn't notice a massive difference, to be completely honest with you, and I wouldn't recommend changing this for Valorant. Also, I see a lot of videos about Valorant, particularly FPS boost videos, where it is going into some pack or some downloadable thing that they have. A lot of these have viruses in. I wouldn't recommend downloading any packs that say they're going to optimize anything for you. Do it all yourself. Learn. That's the best thing you can do. Educate yourself on what you can change. And yeah, don't download anything that people say on the internet. Now, this next trick is a little bit more unknown, and it's what a lot of optimizers do that when you pay for their service, and it is editing the animations and transparency within Windows. So I'll go into a little bit of detail about some of those now. What you want to do is type in animations on Windows, and you'll open it up and see this screen here. Scroll down a little bit, and you're looking for these two settings here: show animations in Windows and show transparency in Windows. Turn both of those off, and they will blanket straight away turn off a lot of the settings that you don't want to mess about with. There is, however, a second part to this, which is a little bit more technical to find. Now, the next thing you want to do is go on to View Advanced System Settings, and you'll be met with this screen here. Make sure that you're on Advanced and make sure that you can see Performance. What you want to do is click on Settings under the Performance section, and you'll be met with this screen here. What I would say to do is to copy down the settings I have here. I'll make sure that you can see them more perfectly, and I'll quickly explain roughly what it is that they do. Windows likes to make things smoother on their operating system and make your experience a lot better. So some of these options will be about how you move around Windows, and it'll smooth them out a little bit. Some will be to do with the thumbnails and animations on the icons and things like that. A lot of it is just waffle though when you're playing games, because you don't use any of that. It is a little bit to get used to sometimes if you aren't used to maybe a little bit janky. I say janky, it's more just the smoothness of this, and you can even enable some of them again as well, but a lot of it is just settings that you don't even notice or don't really care for, especially when you're gaming. So just copy down the settings I have here and you'll be good to go. Finally, quickly, because I know it's not in the other video that I'm going to recommend, I would come into Task Manager real quick. So you can right click at the bottom here, you can search it up in the search bar, wherever. Come into Task Manager, disable any apps that you don't use or whatever. Everyone knows these usual tricks. Make sure you disable apps you don't use, but also come into Startup and disable any applications that you don't use on a regular basis. I keep Steam disabled because I don't always load up Steam games. A lot of things like that can just be disabled straight away. Only keep enabled things that you know you use on a daily, regular basis. And this should help a little bit just with the amount of apps that start up, and you shouldn't have to close things every day. And so, yeah, you've now set your CPU to perform at its maximum achievable performance. You've told your GPU what you don't want it to do in your graphics settings. You've told Windows that you don't want all of its fancy animations and transparency effects going on, especially while you're in a game. So now what we need to do is go and watch this video here. I'll leave a link to it now, and copy the settings that I have in game for Valorant. Look at some of the Nvidia control panel settings that I go over, and I do also go through a couple more Windows options that I didn't mention here. This combined with the current video you're watching will be perfect to get you the best Valorant FPS possible. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, of course you peek.
One enemy remaining.
Oh my god, he needs help.
Nice one by that.
Ended. One enemy remaining.
Nice one by that.
One enemy remaining.
Was long. Yeah, you see that.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Spike down B.
Right in the mid, chamber market.
One enemy remaining.
So we finally have a name for Valorant's brand new agent number 23, otherwise known as Deadlock, with the code name that we now have updated as Cable. It kind of makes sense with the kit that we're seeing and some of the artwork that we're going to go into a little bit later again, but that you would have also seen in previous videos. So, what do we know about Deadlock? Deadlock was shown to the pros very recently, and they've described her as having a horror movie character, sort of esque. They use the words such as mummy, coffin, chopper, tornado, all of which to describe the character, along with citing that she is a very mobile sentinel with great abilities for map control. Along with the new leaks and reveals that came out, we also got some lore updates on the new agent Deadlock, and I read it out to you now. Dashing through the icy terrain, a stylish female agent embarked on her mission. Endowed with 4 striking moles on her face, she possessed a unique allure. Accompanied by her comrade, they encountered a fearsome creature during their mission. Dreadfully mysterious, the creature revealed itself as a formidable bear. Leading the charge, she fought valiantly, but tragically lost her arm in the midst of the battle. Overcoming the setback, she adopted an advanced prosthetic arm, elevating her abilities. Crafted with precision, the high-tech arm bestowed upon her a plethora of capabilities. Key among them was the arm's empowering capability, granting her enhanced control on the battlefield. So we could tell that she lost her arm in a battle during a mission, so she now uses a prosthetic or a mechanical arm, similar to Breach, and that she has an enhanced capabilities, giving her control on the battlefield. So this is alluding to maybe what the pros are talking about, where they said that she had great abilities for map control and some of the mummy, coffin, chopper type things. The bear also coming into play. People are thinking it might be similar, sort of like a bot or something like that KJ has. We're not sure, but it sounds like that's the background story. And what we also know is that the codename before was rumored to be Shadow Dancer, and it is now actually known as Cable. And we can tell that from some of the sort of images that we had before of the icy tundra, as you can see from this statue image here, and also the artwork that I showed in my previous video and in the thumbnail as well, of the sort of like in the cage or inside the smoky chamber, something like that. I think we now can assume that's Cables and something to do with maybe the mummy aspect. I'm not sure. Additionally, some creators have been given early playable access to the agent after the reveal show match on the 25th, so we could probably expect a lot more actual personal gameplay from a lot of people all over YouTube, Twitch, streamed everywhere. I think the embargo ends on the 26th. If you're looking for any more information on the new agent, feel free to check out my previous videos here. If you have any questions or any theories yourself, please let me know down in the comments. I'm looking forward to the new agent, can't wait to play them. And so yeah, that is about it for the news so far, the new leaks, everything that comes out. Be sure to stick around on the channel, stay tuned, I'm going to have more updates coming out as we learn more about the new agent, and obviously with the show match and all the early access stuff coming out soon as well. There'll be plenty of videos, plenty of content out on that. Thank you for watching, I'll catch you in the next video. So, welcome to Deadlock. On patch 7.0, I just got access on the NA server, so I figured I'd give you a little quick look and a little bit of a guide to the kit, and also just a little bit of tech that I've already discovered that I think should be worth you trying out as well. First things first, let's get used to the kit. As you may have already seen previously, and it's been on the channel, first things first, we have the Gravnet grenade, which simply you throw, you can left click or right click, and if you're caught without it, or when you're not inside it, you can walk through it freely. If you are caught when it lands though, it'll make you crouch and you'll have to remove the net until you get out of the circle. Easy enough to understand, pretty simple. The next one is a sound sensor that you put, and you can see the radius that it puts down. If you make any noise inside of that as an enemy, you're going to get caught in it and get stunned, and I'll show you that in the real world scenario in a moment, but that's the sound sensors, otherwise known as the sonic sensor in game. And the next thing, for the last like normal utility, is the barrier mesh that we've all seen before. You left click press it, goes a short distance, and all 4 corners pop up, and the middle center pops up, and basically you can't walk through it. Some abilities can go through it, as you'll see from previous videos of people like Kanga or Valorant Curious, people like that that I've shown you, but you can't walk through it, but you can shoot through it and use abilities through it. Most abilities anyway, and some movement abilities can get through as well, like your result can get through. To destroy the walls, you have the main one, which has, I believe, 1200 health, and each corner has 700 HP as well. If you destroy one corner, I'll try it again, I'll show you. If you destroy one corner, it breaks that section of the wall. if you destroy the main compartment, it breaks all of the wall sections. Easy enough to understand? Cool. And obviously the last bit of kit is the ultimates, the annihilation. And as you've seen already, it pulls them into a cocoon. It's almost like a Sova, like ultimate radius where it hits them, pulls them in. If it reaches that point or after a certain amount of time, it kills them guaranteed. You can break it by shooting it though. But yeah, you can also bounce them off walls and stuff. As you can see, it didn't hit him straight up, but it pulled him there. Show you it again. See, it bounced off and gets him. But the radius, as you can see, when I send it, the circle is almost like a Sova ultimate radius. And you can bounce it off ceilings and walls and floors, etc. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's go through a real world scenario. Welcome to the real world scenario that we're going to try. So first things first, I want to show you the sonic sensors. So if you place them on somewhere like this, if you imagine on like a scent, you put them down and you put your barrier mesh somewhere like this, so they can't walk through it. I suppose that's not a great one, but you know, they can't walk through it anyway. Put that down, you plant the spike, and as the bots will come, you'll see where they get caught and what things they get trapped inside as well. So let's go ahead and wait for them to come. And here we go. One has been detected inside that and has been stunned. And the others are trapped on the barrier meshes here, as you can see. So just as like a quick example of what the kit is actually like, you can see that it's really strong at holding down the site and preventing people from pushing through. So where I think she's going to shine most importantly is in the post-plant situations. So that was kind of interesting. As you just saw then, I tried placing it on this corner and I tried to boost myself up and it actually broke the net. So I think if you're in line of sight and it can't go anywhere else, it can just break like that. But let's do another little setup here and try and make one that's a little bit more viable for everything. So both sound sensors are set up now to cover both angles as soon as I hear anything. Let's get the bomb down and we'll try out some of the more utility as well. So first things first, I'm going to use this. Hopefully if one's there. Use that. That one's pulled in. Not trying to break him out. I'm going to use the grenade now. The sound sensor went off. And both of those are now trapped inside of that. And again, it's obvious that she's going to be a Sentinel that's perfect for holding down a site like a true Sentinel would. And I think people aren't giving her enough credit with just how useful her kit actually is. Something like a Cypher just gets this stuff broken so easily and it's not as powerful, not as strong. The Sage gets a wall broken every time and the info is good as well that you can block it off. But the thing with this is that you have so much utility. You have info gathering, you have stopping abilities, and you have sort of damaging, I suppose, as well with your ultimate. Like, it's a perfect combination of everything you need in a Sentinel, really. She has the threat of her ultimate. She has the threat that you can be detected when you don't expect it. And she has the threat that she can just stop you. She can just stop you in your tracks if you're trying to push a site completely. Like she's the perfect anti-push Sentinel. And so yeah, that is the real quick guide, just Deadlock. Make sure you check out all the other videos I'm going to have coming out soon as well. I'm also going to be doing a stream, Deadlock to Radiant. I'm going to be running that throughout the next few months, seeing how far I can get it. Hopefully it won't take months though, but we'll see. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Let me know what you think about Deadlock in the comments. And I'll catch you in the streams, or wherever. Make sure you subscribed. I'll see you in the next video. What if I told you that you don't need that fancy new PC to boost your FPS in Valorant? Instead, what if all you had to do was follow along with the steps that I'm about to show you in this video here, especially the in-game video ones. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with a few short things you can do inside of Windows to set yourself up for better performance. First things first, type in graphics settings into your Windows search bar. When you're here, you're going to see the similar screen. First things first, make sure to turn off hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. For most systems that I've seen, it's best to disable this option as it introduces stuttering in a lot of games. I would still recommend to test this out yourself with it being on or off, but if you want my advice, keep it off, it's simple. Next up, you're going to want to locate where your Valorant program is. Find the program file that you used to launch the game. It could be in a variety of places, but if you're struggling, just head to the drive you installed Valorant on and locate the folder, then find the Valorant launch program. Right click, go to Properties, click on Compatibility, and make sure that you've ticked Disable Full Screen Optimizations. Another thing that's really important to know as well is when you're on Windows, make sure that you don't have YouTube videos or other media playing in the background or on additional monitors. These can sometimes introduce very minor stuttering and generally just slightly lower performance, but they aren't the end of the world if you do watch stuff on the background. It also goes the same for Wallpaper Engine and other similar programs. Make sure they're disabled or not running while you're playing Valorant. Finally, the last Windows change you want to look at will be inside of Nvidia Control Panel. Inside the control panel is where you have a little bit of a choice to decide whether you're a G-Sync player or not, and I'll explain both as we go along through the rest of the guide. Firstly, let's get you following all these 3D settings. Make sure that you have it set on, use the advanced 3D image settings so that you can go and change things yourself, and come in here and you're going to want to copy all of these settings except a couple that we're going to go over ourselves. But follow along, you can pause the video wherever you like it. Just make sure that you change all of them to the ones I have set right now. If you don't have some of those settings, don't worry about it. Anyway, so the ones that we're going to look at that are going to be specific to whether you're a G-Sync player or not are these ones here. Firstly, you can have V-Sync off for pretty much 99% of the time. If you're someone that wants to do the full sweaty G-Sync route, then turn this on and we'll go over some more details that you need to change as well. But if you're like me that you don't really want to go the full route, but you also have G-Sync on, keep it off. It'll lower input lag. The next thing to talk about is max frame rate and frame rate capping. When you're using G-Sync these days, you're supposed to cap it a little bit under your monitor's refresh rate. So for me, for example, I have a 280Hz monitor, so I cap it at 276 FPS. If you're a G-Sync user, this is probably what you're already doing anyway, and you already know this. If not, you should set it to this, and also maybe use V-Sync on if you feel like it. I personally like to use it off though. And if you don't use V-Sync, or you don't know what V-Sync is, or you don't have it, completely ignore this, doesn't matter. Just copy the settings and ignore the max frame rate cap and ignore V-Sync. While we're here as well, make sure that you've got your monitor set to the right settings. Make sure you're on your highest refresh rate. Make sure that you're in the resolution that you have on your monitor. It could be in 4K, 1440p, 1080p, whatever it may be. Make sure that it's set to that. And also while we're here as well, you can adjust desktop color settings and change your digital vibrance to somewhere between 75 to 100%. Personally, I like it around 80%-ish. It's up to you what you have like preference-wise. But in-game, it'll make colors pop a lot more and the game will be a little bit more better visibly. So we're in game now, and the first thing we want to take a look at inside of our settings is in the general tab, and that is enemy highlight color. And we are going to use yellow deuteranopia. It's the colorblind setting that basically changes the model outline to be yellow instead of the default red. It helps a lot with visibility, and especially in games like Valorant with fast movement, you respond a lot faster to the color yellow. Switching on over now to the video tab is where the main magic is going to happen. So I have it in windowed full screen right now, but you should really be playing in full screen at all times to have the lowest possible input lag. Make sure that limit FPS always is turned off. You do not want this checked on, even if you're a G-Sync user or if you're not a G-Sync user, keep this off. Anything that we do with frame rate capping is all done through Nvidia or something else anyway, not in-game. If you have a more recent Nvidia GPU, then the chances are that you're going to have reflex available to you, and what I would initially recommend is to try the on setting. It is generally best if you use G-Sync. If you don't use G-Sync, best just to keep input lag down, and if you use this instead of on and boost, you'll notice that you will have less stuttering. On and boost does introduce a little bit of stuttering just because it is maxing out your graphics card. It does often have those little dips in performance that can cause little micro stutters. But I would suggest trying out with off as well and just seeing how you feel. But I think on is the sweet spot. Now my graphics quality settings do change a little bit, so bear that in mind, but this is pretty much the blueprint for what I will run. Keeping it simple, we'll get a little bit more technical in a moment, but keeping it simple, this is a bit of the secret sauce. Material on low, texture on low, detail on low, UI on medium, vignette off, V-Sync off, distortion off, shadows off. These are the main settings. Pretty much run everything off or low and UI quality on medium for starters. Next up, we're going to talk about a little bit more of the secret sauce. Now, if you like a super sharp image, then I would recommend having improved clarity on and experimental sharpening on as well, with no anti-aliasing and 4x filtering. Now, if you don't like the sharp image, then this is what the settings I would typically recommend for you. And this is how I like to play as well. For a smoother and nicer experience, enable 2x MSAA anti-aliasing with the 4x filtering. but disable clarity and sharpening. Next thing is bloom. Bloom can be turned on. It doesn't have any noticeable effect on FPS, at least for me when I was trying it. It does make lighting a lot brighter. But something I would say is that if you have a lot of saturation or increased vibrancy like you've done through Windows or in your monitor settings, it can be a little bit overwhelming and a little bit distracting. So I prefer not to use it if I've cranked out those things like I have in Control Panel, for example. Now, what I will say is that if you weren't running these settings before, then I can guarantee you're going to see some sort of improvement in the FPS number, but also mainly in the general feel of the gameplay. It should feel a lot smoother. If you used higher graphic settings like in the past, it might look a little bit strange at first getting used to this sort of setup, but it is the optimal one for visibility and FPS. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it, if you found any of these tips useful whatsoever, and I will catch you in the next video. So, welcome to a new video. Valorant's highly anticipated mobile port has had some gameplay leak from China, so let's take a quick look and go through some of the things I've noticed already. So welcome into what is Valorant on mobile. So if you're watching this video, you're probably a big Valorant fan or you're a big mobile gaming fan. Either way, let's go through some of the changes and why it might appeal to you and why it might not appeal to you. So for starters, obviously this is a leak, so the footage is going to be a little bit lower quality and I've ripped it from somewhere, so it's not going to be great. Have to bear with me on that one. First thing I want to talk about is that I don't know if we're going to be expecting all the maps, all agents, etc. We probably won't be, similar to how the China launch was. But let's go through the UI a little bit. So the UI is going to be customizable, like it will be for every other mobile game that's out. You know, all the popular ones, PUBG, Arena Breakout, etc. All those types. It would appear right now that we've got all the abilities packed into the top right corner along with the map, and the network settings, etc., FPS, all that sort of thing will be in the bottom left. Performance-wise, I'm not expecting it to be anything special just right now because it's quite obviously early gameplay footage, but when it releases, for all of you big mobile enthusiasts, I think it'll be top of the range. It looks great as well. The gameplay looks really smooth as well already, just I know it's not perfect right now, but the actual gameplay looks smooth, and the visuals for the game, the textures, the graphics, the details, everything already looks quite good as well. And if Valorant on PC is anything to go by, performance won't be an issue for anyone on mobile. One key thing I did notice there was a change is the bomb timer actually shows up now on here, as opposed to it doesn't on PC. You don't see what the timer is on the bomb ticking down. Whether this is just because it's early gameplay footage or whether that's a feature they want to have inside mobile, I'm not sure. But at least from an early gameplay standpoint, everything does look pretty smooth, it does look pretty good. I like the change to the bomb timer, and so yeah, this might be waffle. I don't know much about mobile games, but I figured it was worth talking about. I like how the hit markers look, whether this is again specific to China or whether it's specific to the mobile gaming genre. I like how the blue pops up. I like how the crosshair seems to flare when you get a hit marker, or whether that's just because of the effects they have on the game right now, I'm not too sure. And so the next question really begs, what sort of place does Valorant have in the mobile gaming market? Because obviously it's growing massively right now, especially in APAC, Asia, etc. It's a completely massive genre, if not one of the biggest genres inside of gaming. So how will a competitive shooter like Valorant with a massive PC following already convert into mobile gaming? Is it going to dominate the space, or is it just going to fall through the cracks? We could still be a long way away from seeing this release, so it's maybe not worth mentioning right now how the market share is going to be impacted. But for those regions in APAC that do prefer playing on mobile, this might be their introduction now to Valorant esports. And are we going to see franchise teams inside of mobile? But if you have any questions or anything you want to know more specifically about mobile information, let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them, at least from what I know so far. Any more details that come out, I'll be sure to update as well. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think. If you're a Valorant player right now on PC, let me know what you think, and if you'd play it on mobile. And if you're a typical mobile gamer that plays PUBG Mobile or something like that, do you see yourself playing Valorant Mobile when it releases? I'd be curious to know how people are going to react to it. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. So with the reveal date fast approaching for Valorant's new agent, there's been some new teasers and some new leaks that have come out very recently. Some as only a few hours ago before this upload has gone up. Most importantly is this new video which teases something to do with Sova and the new agent approaching, and I'll let you watch the video now. Really quick, just while I'm editing this, I did just notice that if you look at the bottom bar, you can see that Sova's drone seems to recharge battery, and I have seen a few people question whether this means anything towards the agent maybe having new abilities that recharge people's utility. We're not sure, but I thought I'd just mention that and make note of that now, just in case it does come true. I can tend to be a fortune teller. Okay, back with the video. So as you can tell from the teaser, it's quite obvious that we are approaching some sort of tundra, some frozen lake, etc., icy mountains, and if you paid attention you would also notice that the night market announcement background had the exact same background with it, with the the cascading landscape and the mountains and this clear statue, symbol, icon, whatever, slap bang in the middle. So if you compare the two side by side, you can see that they are both the exact same thing. So what we do know is that Sova is somehow involved in the lore of the character, and also that we do know that they are Norwegian. They have a codename Smoke Dancer, which was revealed a long time ago but hasn't really been picked up until now. And so now we can start to explore a little bit more of the relationship that Breach and codename Smoke Dancer might have. We know that they are both mechanical, they have mechanical limbs, and we know that they are both Scandinavian. We have had almost confirmation now that they are Norwegian, just from the waffles that were included. If you see my previous video, you'll see that the photo I included here is of the new agent, and you'll see that the waffles on the side are apparently typical Norwegian waffles with a special type of cheese known as brown cheese. And some people were saying it seems a bit more like a cinnamon roll or something like that, but I think it is quite obviously the Norwegian style one that I'll show you now, and it's fairly typical, and I think we can expect them to be Norwegian. Which leads us on to Breach having some connection between them. Probably be some links in game, there'll be some voice lines that talk to each other, so we'll find out a bit more about the lore with that. Hopefully the reveal also goes into a bit more detail about that as well. But I am curious what you guys think. Obviously there's quite a few more new leaks that have come out recently, so there's changing opinions, changing landscapes. Some people in last video mentioned that it could be Mage or some other variations of past leaked agents, things like that. I'm not sure. Something else that we do actually know as well is that the agent should have the ability to pull in like the Fade Seas or the Cypher Tripwire. So whether they are a smoke dancer that can do things like that, whether they have a smoke that encapsulates someone and pulls them in and blinds them that way, whether they have like utility that isn't just about sentinels, whether they actually have a smoke themselves like a controller, whether they have the ability to, blind people like I just said, maybe like an initiator, you don't really know. But it does seem like this agent has quite a lot of abilities, quite a lot of potential, and the early leaks that suggested it was fairly broken. Sounds like with this new kit that's being talked about and released, and the fact that they're codenamed Smoke Dancer, we could see some broken gameplay coming out very soon. And it wouldn't surprise me if Chamber was suddenly in the limelight because of how broken he was before, how okay he is now, and how balanced he is now. Is he now going to get pushed out of this sort of ranking system for the Sentinels by someone that is once again really overpowered in the role? I don't know. Perhaps I'm just waffling. But the point is, there's a lot of new leaks. Reveal is still to come. If you need to see the reveal date, it is the 24th. But go check out the video before this to pick yourself up on all the rumours, all the leaks, and everything that we know so far. Get up to date. Let me know what you think about the agent. Let me know what you think about some of the leaks. And I will catch you in the next video. So the NA servers are now live with the brand new patch 7.0 introducing Deadlock, TDM, Kingdom at points, Kingdom store, Kingdom credits, all that stuff. I'm going to go through some of it today. We're going to go through the Battle Pass real quick. And I'm going to take you through the Kingdom store and we'll just take a little quick look around and let you know what's new. So here we go, welcome into the new Battle Pass. You may have already seen some stuff on it, but I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the tiers now. So we have the Composite Sheriff, we have a new Buddy, obviously the Raid Night points, you get the new Blush card, you get the Blush Frenzy, and some of the free chapter rewards. You get the Twist and title, obviously after the Fallen Pro, and the Boombot Schema card. We have the new spray, Pancake Pileup. We have the more sprays, Radionite, new card, the Digihex line. So we have the Judge, the Coin Buddy. I'm going to go through all of these and you can just like take a look at them one by one if you really want to, but I'm just going to skip this part real quick. And obviously here is the new knife for the tier 50 inside the Battle Pass. And here is the epilogue stuff after you've completed the Battle Pass, obviously, like there always is. Some gold and stuff. Anyway, let's move on to the Kingdom credits. So the Kingdom credits is in-game earned currency. Earn Kingdom credits by playing games and from dailies, purchase agent gear, accessories, and recruit agents. And it is capped to 10,000, which I don't know if is the right move, but we will see. Anyway, so we step into the accessory store, and right now you can see what is in the brand new store. Has its own sort of reset timer, which I believe is probably in line with the normal timer. It isn't. Oh, it is actually, yeah, it is. It's in time with the normal offers, so that updates the same time as your normal store does. And as you can see, we can get titles, you can get cards, sprays, and buddies and things like that, but no skins. So hopping on over now to the Deadlock area and also the agent recruitment area. With Deadlock, you can see that she unlocks in 28 days for you to be able to purchase her with Kingdom credits, as you see on here. It reads unlock agent during the agent recruitment event with XP or unlock after the event with Kingdom credits. You can also buy her for 1000 VP, I assume, like everybody else, but you can't purchase it with Kingdom credits until after the event ends. So it takes 200,000 XP in the next 28 days to unlock her before then, or 1000 VP. And as you can see, this is where you unlock all the new agents as well that you don't have. I'm on my NA account right now, so I don't really have any unlocked, but you can see that the prices for each of them are all the same as it is for Deadlock. We obviously have the new bundle. If you didn't already see this, I've got a couple of videos on it already, so you can go check that out. But the bundle is here. All the prices are accurate as we expected, and as I mentioned in the video and on the thumbnails, etc. And lastly, how do you earn the Kingdom points? Well, like it said, you earn them through daily in-game events. You can see there's checkpoints here where you earn Kingdom credits upon each checkpoint. No identity of how you progress through the checkpoints. I'm not sure if that's something we're going to learn later, if it's bugged right now. Maybe it's just earning XP throughout the game and you will continue to progress. I'm really not too sure about how all that works, but I did just want to go through some of the things and just show you what we can see right now anyway as the servers have gone live. But yeah, that just about covers it. When it goes live on EU, probably tomorrow when you're watching this, I will most likely be streaming the Deadlock to Radiant series over on my YouTube channel. And shortly after that, I'll be uploading, not daily, but regularly throughout the week, maybe 2 or 3 times, videos of the streams just in case you guys miss them. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think about the new patch and all the new bundles and skins and Kingdom credits and everything else, and I'll catch you in the next video. Valorant themselves have just released more gameplay footage of Deadlock in action, so I'll leave it for you to check out here as well. I do just want to say that she looks absolutely incredible. I can't wait to play her. You can check her out for the full reveal and everything else later on tonight after the matches in Tokyo. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more information coming out. Enjoy the video.
Sound sensor out. Throwing net.
Shock dart.
Going B. Got you.
Enemy spot.
Defuse the spike. Pull them to their grave. No escape. And stay down.
As the reveal date for Deadlock is fast approaching, we are once again met with a brand new teaser video alongside more leaks surrounding the new agent's abilities and lore. Firstly, we got a new teaser video which was released which shows Cypher flicking through a database of individuals, including elite hunters and one Kingdom scientist. What's interesting to note is that none of these characters appear to be our Deadlock until you pause it just perfectly and you can see the face that is strikingly similar to that of the one on the icon from a few days ago here. The coordinates in the video point to LA though, so I'm not entirely sure what the relevance is to the new agent, but perhaps this is someone that was using their help to make the new gear or something like that. We aren't too sure. Additionally, it's rumored that Deadlock will have an ability similar to Lissandra's ultimate from League of Legends. This would indicate a potential stun ability with the possibility of having an alternate use to self-heal. At least that's what Lissandra's ult does anyway, so perhaps it's something along those lines. Finally, a quote was leaked by some of the popular Valorant Twitter leakers that reads the following. The technological frisbee landed into a wall, cleverly threw a grenade to weave a net, and the ring was ready to wrap the enemy around. So this is obviously relating to the abilities of Deadlock, and I think we can determine possibly multiple stuns or slows, and maybe some info gathering capabilities with the frisbee. So sort of like we said before, it's going to be a Sentinel, but perhaps has some capabilities of both controllers and initiators as well. Maybe it has some info gathering, something like maybe a Cypher, maybe something like a KJ, something that has already been previously leaked before. As always, when more information comes to light, I'll be sharing it here, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let me know what you think of the new agent in the comments, and I'll be sure to catch you in the next video. Yo, so welcome to another video. This one is going to be the Valorant best FPS settings. It'll be boosting your FPS, boosting the visibility, some of the vibrancy in the game, the smooth feel of it. I'll be doing the in-game settings first, then I'll be going to some Windows settings afterwards. So stick around or skip ahead if you want to go get straight into the Windows settings. But yeah, let's quickly get into the settings in-game graphic-wise. Basically, you can copy all of these straight away if you want now, but I am going to go through and explain them all really quick for you. Multi-threaded rendering you want on 100%. This will boost your FPS if you have like a semi-decent PC, mid-end. 100% is going to use all your utilities, all your cores, everything you want, and just push your performance all the way through. Material quality, text quality, detail quality, I have all of these low. Even UI quality could realistically go low as well. I just like having it a little bit higher up. Just, that's kind of weird. I'm just a bit weird. But yeah, keep everything like that on low. Make sure VisionNet is off. Make sure that VSync is off. Don't use VSync. If you have G-Sync or FreeSync, use that instead. VSync should not be used for anything. All it does is increase input lag. Anti-aliasing is a little bit of personal preference. In this game, I don't notice too much with the FPS changing too much. So, try it yourself, see what you like. I like FXAA, it gives a little bit of an outline on the characters and the agents, but it doesn't mess with them too much. Anisotropic filtering, again, some of these options don't do a hell of a lot in terms of FPS. I didn't see a difference between 4x to 16x. All it does is make my game just a little bit more visible, and that's kind of what the goal is. You want to maximize your FPS and maximize the visibility of the game as well. These settings can be the more tricky ones. So I saw a video earlier when I was doing a bit of research for this. I saw that this guy had bloom, distortion, and cast shadows all enabled and on. You do not want that. That is going to mess up the visibility of your game, it's going to mess the competitive feel of it, and it's also going to mess up your FPS a little bit, because some of these options can be a little bit harmful on your performance, especially on older graphics card, older systems. The two that I have on though is improved clarity, which I didn't notice did too much to me. Like it says in the description, if you have a high-end GPU, we recommend keeping it on. Same, it's one to test out yourself, but I would recommend trying it and keeping it on. And same with the experimental sharpening. Anything that makes your game just that little bit clearer, a little bit more vibrant, and also smooth as well. These options should do all of that for you. So copy these on in-game settings, and we'll jump into some Windows settings that I think you might not have heard of or seen before, and that should help you out with your performance as well. Really quick, I just want to make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on. If you aren't already, hit that big red button down below and click the bell icon just so you don't miss any of my uploads. Okay, back to the video. So, now that we've gone through some of the in-game settings for Valorant, let's start having a look at some of the Windows options that you can start changing. If you've watched some of these videos before on different games or even on Valorant as well, some of them will be pretty similar, but there'll be a couple I think that you might not have tried or looked at before. So let's start going through them. So the first things is the Xbox game bar and the Xbox game mode. So come down here and type in game mode settings, and it'll bring you to this page. If you're on Windows 11, it'll be slightly different, but it'll be the same search term, game mode, search it up. What you want to do is you want to make sure that game mode is turned off. It says Windows optimizes your PC for play, do not trust it whatsoever. This used to be a thing back in the day, maybe a year or two ago, where people started to turn it on and test it out. All I've had in my experience that has been really negative, so I don't recommend you try it out. And for the game bar, make sure that you have game bar turned off as well. All it does is sap your resources, and you just don't want that. The next thing to look at is going to be the graphics settings. So you come down here, you type in graphics, it comes up. There's two options here. Make sure that variable refresh rate is turned off. If you have G-Sync or FreeSync, use that instead. Don't use any Windows options, don't use VSync whatsoever. What we're in here for mainly though is the hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. If you've seen my Warzone video, you'll know that I mentioned I had really bad problems with this. However, I do believe that for people with lower end systems, and even, I think maybe I was just a bit of an anomaly with my Warzone options as well, but turn this setting on. Turn it on, try it out, give it a little test. It should be better for a lot of people on those lower end systems, like I've said.
If not, turn it off. It gave me a bit of stuttering. Try it out yourself, but you know, it's something to test and figure out if you like it or not. Now the next option in Windows is this one. You want to try and get to your app data file. So I'll show you how you get up here. What you want to do is you want to press Windows key and R, and that'll bring this option up. Type in app data with percentage on each side, and it'll bring you up to this page. And you want to navigate your way basically through. You want to go through app data to local to Valorant, into the saved folder, into your config, and then when you get to this page, you'll be wondering which one is your actual account that you're meant to be on, which config you're meant to be using. If you sort the date by modified to the most recent, it'll be the latest one, not the crash report client, but it'll be the latest one here. And what you want to do is click into this, go to Windows, and your game user settings. What you want to do here is make sure that properties, make sure that read only is disabled, unticked, because you want to be editing them and not have it like auto saving. So yeah, what you want to do is open with, go to Notepad, and from this page, what you want to do is you want to scroll all the way down till you get to scalability groups. Now, when you turn settings down in game, they do go down a lot, but this forces it to be at a certain level. And all these options you see here that are at 3 at the minute can all go to either 1 or 0. I would only recommend changing these options all to 1 or 0 if you are really struggling with FPS. Otherwise, you know, it's not something I would consider doing. It can be a bit dodgy when you mess with your game files, and I would normally try and avoid it, but it should help you out if you have a lower end system. Now, my final point would be the Nvidia control panel, and it's you know, a typical one that people go through. But you right click Nvidia control panel. If you're on AMD, I'm sorry, this is for Nvidia users only. We'll quickly look at the 3D settings. I'm not going to go through each one. I feel like every video sort of does this. If it doesn't, you know, maybe go check out like a Warzone video that I've done, or you know, my Bloodhunt video. Just copy these settings here. I'll scroll through them again for you real quick. Each setting basically just needs to be off, unless very specifically it says, you know, it's one of these like high performance, or you know, just copy my settings, right? These settings are going to be the best ones for most games to maximize performance out of them. These are like the best optimization settings you can use, so apply them. And the main reason that I actually wanted to come into the control panel was for the color settings. So Valorant is already a pretty vibrant game, but if you want to make your game a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant, nicer on the eyes, you can turn digital vibrance up to, you know, 8500. Test it and see how you like it. You can change it like as you play in game as well. Just like put your game in Windows mode and turn your digital vibrance up and down, and just see how it looks on different maps and how you feel. It can be a bit weird with like sage walls. It can mess with the colors of that a little bit if you go too high, but you know, somewhere between 70 to like maybe 90 is probably a good range to try out. It makes the game look a hell of a lot nicer, and I'd recommend trying that out. I hope you found some of those settings useful. The in-game ones are all pretty common, but some of these Windows ones can be a little bit tricky and not always seen before. Make sure you try them out, test them out yourself, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you give me a comment, let me know if any of these worked for you. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Right, I'm really not one for intros. I actually hate them. So what I'm going to do is I'll let you watch the first clip, we'll break it down after, and we'll go from there and just see where the video takes us. It's going to be a bit of a freestyle. Right, let's go.
Launching smoke. Stim beacon down. Who trained you? Molly.
One enemy remaining.
Guys, one tap. Oh my god.
Oh my
Nice, nice, you got it.
Oh my god, let's go.
Let's go, doll.
You're so sexy, Brim.
You got cracked out
that
then.
your
You got
round?
Way to put me in charge.
So you've seen the clip in real time. Let's have a little bit of a breakdown of it now. This will be a bit of a freestyle, and I like to waffle, so I do apologize before that. But the video is about how to improve technically on the game, and it's technical, it's mechanical, it's mental, and I kind of break it down as such that winning these rounds that I'm going to show you, including this one that just now, it is down to 90% mental, 9% mechanical skill, and just 1% luck. It really is a mental game when it comes down to these one life modes. And so yeah, I mean, 90% mental, 9% mechanical, 1% luck kind of leaves you with that position of how do I improve the 90% to get the most effective performance out of myself. Well, let me go through it. Let's break down what happens in this first clip. We'll do it for another one or two after this, just in similar situations, because I want to show you 3 different clips that were like 3 different situations, but all, you know, within a 1 or 2 day period. I have so many clips that are just like 1v3s, 1v4s, even like a 1v5 or 2, but like I think it's best to include ones that are all within a similar time frame, or within 1 or 2 days of each other at the start of August, just so that you have that idea of how consistent you can really become with it. But let's break down the first clip anyway, because you've been sat here long enough just hearing me waffle. Right.
We're on bind. We're in a 1v3. I'm Brim against a Phoenix, a Sky, and a Reyna at the top, as you can see. I'm playing with a friend, so I have information. I'm playing with two friends, so I have some information about what's happening earlier on in the round. But ultimately, here's what I know. So I have a smoke. I'll turn the volume down a little bit just so I can play it and hear myself. I place my smoke into hookah or window, whatever you may call it. And the idea here is that I want to block off as many lanes as I can with the utility that I have earlier on. So I put my smoke down so I know that I can pick up here pretty easily without having to watch too many angles. I'm looking elbow, and we'll let the clip sort of play a little bit, just see. I chuck my stim down because I know that I'm about to do an aggressive peek, and I know that I only have a few angles to clear because of my smoke that I've put down. So I stim, still watching that angle. The Reyna crosses and jiggles me. So I come back to here expecting her to maybe jiggle the angle again, or to maybe full peek it and go for it. And all she does is she just simply goes straight across and doesn't really move after that and stays in that one place that's still trying to spam me. That was a really easy kill, really simple kill. What you need to understand in these sort of situations, I'm sorry for talking fast by the way, but it's you got to go through it and you got to understand how it feels in real time. What you have to understand in these situations is that depending on the player's skill level that you're against, so if these players are diamond players, you know that they are going to be quite eager because diamond players typically don't have that same patience that a lot of the higher immortal radiant players might have, or in CS, you know, high ESEA A players, rank G, rank S players, pros, whatever, will have that patience because they know that every round can be lost regardless of the situation that you're in. You can lose a 1v5 just as easy as you can lose a 1v2. In reality, it just comes down to how the defenders or how the attackers, whoever's on the higher team, so if you've got 5 people, just how you play it. So in this situation, it really is just about knowing the people that you're against and knowing what you can get away with. So I'm jiggling every corner. I thought I heard noise in this close left corner just here, and I'm not entirely sure if he was there still, but what I do is I throw my molly in it, and I start faking some noise towards elbow to hopefully get them to rotate away from it. And then I start walking backwards, and I hear a step out onto site. And I believe it's the Phoenix that I hear stepping out onto the site. So he could have been in that mollied corner, or he could have been back site and is reacting now to the information of me walking elbow. So what we do is we come back round, 11 bullets. The smoke is faded at hookah, so we are nervous about that now, but we're in a 1v2 with time ticking down. They probably aren't going to jiggle just too much now. We walk outside, and he peeks me in the same place that Reyna beat me. My friend says that Sky is one tap, and I'm expecting her to be playing long at this point because that's the only place that I haven't really had any utility or any information on. I smoked out hookah, there was no response. I've cleared out elbow a little bit, I cleared out the site. She could be deeper in elbow, or she could be long, and that's where I'm expecting her to sort of be. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I tap the bomb, and I get a little glimpse of her just in hookah just then, and then the round is pretty much over. All you need to do then is just sort of hit your bullets, and you're good to go, and get the defuse.
Oh my god.
Now, if that sounded complicated, let me break it down a little bit easier just for you. What you essentially want to do is use the utility that you have, know the people that you're against, and work off that information alone. It doesn't come overnight, it isn't something that comes super fast, and it does take a lot of time to process the information and know when to use it in certain situations. So, I mean, this was a 1v3. I'll show you some other ones that will quickly after, but it really is just about practicing that situation and knowing what you have available. Use utility, learn who you're against, learn what angles you can hold, what angles you can jiggle with the information that you have, and basically just do your best to get into the enemy's heads. You know, I faked walking down elbow after I got the kill. I used my utility to switch up how I was going to approach the site so they didn't really know what was going to happen. And even at the end, even till the very end, tapping the bomb just to get the reaction out of the sky, just using all these little tricks just to try and get that advantage in that round. So what we'll do is we'll go on to the next clip now, and I'll start breaking them down a little bit quicker and a little bit more simple, I should say, just because I think now you have the idea and understanding of what I'm trying to say in the video. Right, on to the next clip then.
Last player standing.
Are they pushing up or going back, do you know?
Going, I think, pushing, I think.
Radiant kill. Knife deployed. They're suppressed.
One enemy remaining.
Queen.
Down your backside now.
Spike planted.
Nice shit.
Well played, bro.
Ultimately, again, there's a lot of similarities between the clips, and that's something that you're going to start noticing. It is very much so a game of cat and mouse trying to play with the people that you're against. So, at the start of this clip, I had information from my teammate or my friend telling me that he thinks they're coming up mid rather than going down.
So what I can do with this information basically is then I can go and peek for free because I know that I can get around this corner behind me and I still have my KO knife to know that I have all the information that I need. So basically, I go up, I get a free pick completely because they have no idea where I am whatsoever. That is a complete freebie in a 1v3 situation like this every day of the week. You won't always get them, but I got very lucky in that situation to get that. Like I said, it comes down to 1% luck. So I use my KO knife now just to sort of gauge whereabouts they are if they're rotating around, and I can gather that they are probably like holding me quite close at this point because they're expecting me to peek more of the angle. So what I do know though is that I have someone to my left that I heard, and I have two people within the KO knife, so they are both close mid. And you can hear someone jumping in there. And at this point, I was surprised to see that the Reyna was still holding. Again, this is a bit of a free kill really, because a lot of time has passed since my first pick that I got. I don't know why she is still holding that and not going with her teammate towards site to go and take that together. They aren't playing the buddy system whatsoever. If I was making a video about how you win the 3v1s or how to not lose rounds or whatever, the best thing would always be just play for trades. And that's something that you pick up from playing a lot of these one life modes, is that you always need to play for trades. It's the most important thing when it comes down to winning important rounds. But yeah, I mean, ultimately those 2 kills were just complete freebies regardless of what happened within that round. So I know now that it's a 1v1 versus the Sage. I know that she's ran to site and I heard her. I'm holding it just in case she's trying to fake me by walking back. And it's a similar sort of playstyle that I have in those sort of 1v1 situations where it is you're trying to fake the person out. So what you'll notice now is that I start making a little bit of noise, I start running, I start walking, I start just doing a little bit of different things just to see if she starts picking up my audio cues with what I'm doing. My teammate says that she's planning back site, which I kind of gathered. I mean, it's not always the information you need, but you kind of know what she's doing. And at this point, I don't think she really has any idea where I'm going to be coming from because I've got the 2 kills up B. I fake noise in the elbow, and I've now walked all the way out onto a really open angle, unpredictable. And I mean, yeah, that's the end of it. Again, it's similar to the bind clip where you break it down into, do I want to give away the information that I have? So in the bind one, I was in a really dodgy spot. There was only one place I could have come from, but I can flesh out from that. It's like a flower. You can do so much with it. You can expand out, you can bloom, you can do whatever. But in this situation, I had all the time in the world, I had all the map in the world, and all that I did was just keep hitting them in the same place. They kept expecting it, but there's nothing they could do about it. It's a mental game. It really is a mental game to hit them in the same place again. And so yeah, I mean, a similar clip, you use the same information, use the utility that you have, use the KO knife. I used fakes, I used different walks, different audio cues they'd be picking up. It might sound like waffle, but trust me, just trying your best to get into the opponent's head. It's 90% mental, 9% mechanical, 1% luck. You always need that luck in the round to win some of these difficult 1v3s, 1v4s or whatever. Some of your skill comes down to it as well. You have to hit the shots at the end. But a lot of it is just a mental game. It really is. And you only get that practice just by doing your best to be that unpredictable player. And so what I'll do now is I'll go into the last clip and we'll break it up from there.
Last player standing.
How is that not a headshot?
Mid.
Nice. Viper was like A-Link.
30 seconds left. One enemy remaining.
Oh, nice dog. You're fucking crack.
Onto this last clip then. I would argue this is probably the most difficult one to break down because there isn't too much going on. There's not too much that I did in this perspective. But like I said, it's 3 clips all within like a 1 or 2 day period. I just want to show the consistency of how it all works. So, I mean, you start off the clip. We are in a 2v3. What information do we really gather? We know that the Viper's in
How
mid.
is that not a headshot?
And essentially, my whole plan is just to be unpredictable. Like I've said throughout all the clips, you have to be unpredictable and in their heads completely. So they have no information that I'm here. I've got 40 seconds on the clock. I could be anywhere on the map at this point. So what I do is I walk up close mid, and my whole goal here is to basically just find one of them off guard. One of them not knowing what they're doing, trying to just rush the round to get it over with. And what happens is I randomly find the Sage healing or whatever she's doing, running out into the middle of the site, just completely unaware of anything that's actually happening within the round. Free kill, freebie once again, and at this point it's completely difficult. My friends give me information about where the Viper is. I am spotted basically out mid, up top. There's nowhere for me to go, so I use her own utility, and whilst I take a bit of decay damage for this, I use her own utility to get out. So I'm pretty sure within this time that I'm in her orb here, she's actually peeking mid looking for me. And as you'll see, as I come out, There's a small gap. I get away a little bit free. I'm jiggling it, and then she peeks it again. Or maybe that's the first time she peeks. I'm not 100% sure. But I used her utility to get away, which to me is sort of like I've slipped away. She's seen me. It's kind of a mental game once again that she knows that she's missed out on killing me when she should have traded that, really. So now my whole plan is I'm in a 1v2. I'm running out of time a little bit. My whole plan is to fake some more noise towards garage and break in potentially either through there or just run up mid again. So I'm nervous about the chamber because I haven't seen him. So I am sort of pre-firing, making a little bit of noise, just trying to be a bit unpredictable towards garage. And what actually happens is I start to peek out mid as her orb drops, and I suddenly get peeked by the Viper out on the right, but she jiggles away. I'm not entirely sure she saw me, but the chamber comes out and fast peeks, which was a little bit of an interesting one because I didn't expect him to be there, nor did I expect him to do a fast peek like that. So at this point, I've got to kill in the chamber. I'm now in a 1v1 with no time. She knows that she has spike down. I can grab it and rotate to any site in that time realistically, but she knows that I still have to grab it.
Oh, nice.
And all she does is just peek me. I have no idea why she jiggled it out like that. This is just really bad trades from plat diamond players. You always need to be close with your teammate. You always need to be ready to trade for your teammate. And all that they did really was just let me walk up mid each time over and over. Like I said, it's a mental thing. You need that mechanical skill to hit the shots. You need the luck to win the round. But so much of it is just a mental game that they don't know what they're doing in that situation. They thought the round was wrapped up and over in a 1v3. But if you start walking up and finding little picks here and there, you're in their heads. And the minute that comes down to a 1v1, that round is over for her mentally, that she is no longer winning that. The chamber got cocky and confident with a 1v2 peak, but even still, you lose that kill there, you lose that, the round is over. It's completely done. And I think this is the main point of it all. If you're trying to win these rounds, and the reason that I win most of these rounds, or in the title I say every round, I mean, you can't win every single round, you don't always have that luck, but the reason that I win most of these rounds, the reason that I get so many of these clutches and clips and things like that is just because people don't have that mental capacity to know how to play the end game of these rounds. And like I said, I've sat here playing COD, CS, Overwatch, and I played like a lot of their amateur sort of divisions and leagues. Open Division Overwatch, I played a lot of challenges and pre-challenges before that on early days of COD. And on CS, I played a lot of ESCA leagues and tournaments and things like that, and Face It, whatever, loads of them back in the day. And even up till now, I still play a lot of them regularly. And just that mental sort of knowledge that you build up, that background, just helps you so much knowing what people are going to do in certain situations, so that when you come on here, a lot of the skills transfer over. And it's the same thing you see. There's a famous COD player called Dashi, and he comes over and he's a Radiant on Valorant, but he's a professional Call of Duty player on controller, not mouse and keyboard. But it really is just, it's the talent of the mental game that can just help you grind and win most of these rounds so easy. And then from that, you go and grind up your ranks and fly up the ranks. So yeah, it's a lengthy video, I know, I am sorry, but I did want to just sort of make it to showcase just how the mental game really affects you, and how you can win a lot of these 1vx sort of rounds. So apologies for the waffle, but I hope it was at least something you could learn from. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.
Loudon knocking at the door now, Stun to follow. He's in danger, needs some help. Ethan can't do it. Aspas is there. Loudon's trying to get dangerous here. Demon 1! What and a half! This guy is monstrous! It's not a comfortable plant. He's going to get it down for now. Closing the gap though, you've got to respect this man. A danger! A danger through and through! Demon 1 is in the server!
Fnatic just went back-to-back, winning both the Lock in Sao Paulo and most recently the Masters in Tokyo, entering them into a new realm of dynasty shouts and GOAT status conversations. How did they manage to accomplish something that nobody else has achieved yet in professional Valorant? It all starts with the team. Chronicle, Leo, Alpha, Boaster, Durka. 5 individuals, 5 different nations, 5 different personalities, all with one goal. And Boaster says it best himself.
It's just about never letting your foot off the gas and just staying focused in the game. Today isn't one yet. This is the grand finals. Let's have some fun and let's treat it like any other game. You know, we're here to win and we're here to play well, and we're here, more importantly, we're here for no regrets. All right, boys?
They all play to have fun. Obviously at its core, that is just calming tactics. But in reality, it's the key to unlocking the highest level of teamwork and understanding. When you play ranked, how often do you worry about the mistakes you're making? How often do you feel like your teammates let you down? I promise you that a lot of pro teams are suffering from the same thing with the exact same mindsets, and all it does is create a negative mindset for yourself, and a lack of respect for your team. Fnatic don't have individuals with that mindset. They have a collective team that operates in a way that enables each other to succeed. So what's the trick that they used to win in Tokyo? Well, it ties into that collective mindset. When most teams crumble under the pressure, or overheat, or panic and sit back, Boaster encourages Fnatic to stop for a second and think about the pace of the game. Do we need to move faster? Do we need to calm down? Now don't get me wrong, some teams do have that awareness, but no other team has that capacity to act on that awareness. Take the last round from the winners final for example, Fnatic versus EG.
Sometimes we were speeding up when we should have probably slowed down. Sometimes we were slowing down when we should have been like, let's go.
But they're eyeing up that B site. Is this where they try and end? Doesn't want to pressure that any further.
Leo's pretty far ahead of this time. I don't think he's yet. Alpha's fallen.
And yeah, the last round especially, we had to slow it down. And when we slowed it down, we were just able to find those picks.
5v3. Boostio looking towards maintenance here, but he does know the players on the way through, Chronicle. Big punish on Boostio there. Come, are you serious? He's gone back to the same spot. Leo's got him!
They seemed to be making the mistakes in the high, intense moments, and we were bringing it back. And then it came to that 2v2 with me and Leo after Chronicle dies to the Raze ulti.
15 seconds.
Ethan can play this slow.
Grenade sent. It sends him running. 10 seconds now.
So I ran out again, and I was like, great, he's going to be CT spawn looking at me. When I try and plant the bomb, I need to smoke myself off.
Bring it down so low, Boaster. Down at 64. Ethan going to swap the cross. But it's Leo's right. Oh my God! Leo has taken Fnatic
I was
across
like, fuck, I died. And then Leo gets the kill. I'm like, fuck. So it was kind of like that.
Timing is everything. And if you can't apply your practice when it matters, then you may as well get on that plane home and put your eye mask back on. It's an important lesson that Fnatic are teaching, and it's something that pro teams and hopefully many individuals will learn. Encourage people. Slow yourself down if you're going too fast. Speed yourself up if you're stuck in the mud. Adapt and be aware of everything. It seems simple, and it is, but nobody knows how to do simple, except for simple. Okay, anyway, that was weird. The point is, you take 5 people and apply those teachings, and you've got a winning formula. Can't teach mindset, and if you don't understand that, then I'm sure there's probably some really cool games coming up on the Steam sales. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a like, and I'll catch you in the next one. So this video is going to be a little bit off the cuff, a bit quicker. The Reaver 2.0 skins have just kind of been leaked a little bit by this guy. Shout out to Floxe on YouTube, and also I think I picked it up off his Twitter as well. So shout out to him. This is all his video, all credit to him, all everything that's been found. But yeah, I did kind of want to just like quickly react to it myself because it's definitely a really popular set. I think is going to get bought by a lot of people, and I know a lot of people would really like to see it. And I know a lot of you guys in my audience are big Valorant fans. But also for myself, you know, I wanted to just sort of get my reaction to this because this is looking insane. And I did skip ahead a little bit, and I have seen some of the things that are due to come, and I'm not going to go through all of it. But yeah, I mean, this is the base, I think level 2 skin. The red one, I really like the look of the red one. I didn't get involved with Reaver 1.0. Oh, Reaver 1.0. I guess this is Reaver 2.0. So yeah, Reaver, the original Reaver, I didn't get involved with. But personally, I think this Karambit, especially in the red here, looks really nice. And I did skip ahead and notice that there was a blue variant, I do believe, if I can get to it. Yeah. So I do really like the look of this, and I really want to bring some attention to it because it does appear to be probably one of the most sought after skin sets that's going to be in the game. A lot of people were upset about the Valorant champions being sort of copied, I guess, with this because a lot of the animations are very similar, and the noises, I think, they were quite upset with because it was meant to be a one-time thing they weren't going to see again. And I think they were upset that it was maybe going to get used again, even after being promised that it probably wouldn't get used. So, but I think it's like a happy middle ground here because it's not completely similar. There are some similarities, I think, in the movement, but as all Karambits are going to be like that. The sounds aren't the same, I don't think. The Reaver has its own personal style. So I can't think that fans can be too upset if they have the Champions bundle. But yeah, this looks amazing. So what we got next then? So we have the Phantom. What does it look like when it's upgraded? I wonder. Yeah, so they're exactly the same then. Really cool. So we have what? So we have the knife. We have the Phantom. The red version looks really cool. Do like the look of that. Is that the blue version? Or the white version, I guess? Really cool. Like that. The Ghost. Ghost looks cool. I think, to be honest though, I think the Reaver might have a lot of people that just straight up buy it for the knife. I think I have quite a few people that say they're just going to straight up buy the knife. But this is a really cool set. I mean, this is an impressive looking set. Odin. So what do we have? So we have a knife, Phantom, the Ghost, Odin. What else do we have? There's a red version. A Spectre. Is that all we get in the set? I say all. I mean, that's pretty good still, eh? But we get a Spectre as well. That was the red version. I want to see the red version. Cool. Cool. So we get a Spectre, Odin, Phantom, Ghost, and then the knife. Seems like a pretty good set. I imagine it's going to be priced similar all over again to the original set. I think that's how they do it. They match them to it. But yeah, I mean, shout out to this guy. Shout out to everyone that's leaking everything and finding things out. I'll leave a link to the video down below to go show him some love or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I really like the red look. I think I'm going to buy the red Reaver personally. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of the video. I just want to show you guys what the new leaks are looking like. So obviously the new agent for Valorant has been rumoured for quite a long time, and there's been a lot of speculation whether it's related to Sova, Breach, but what we do know is that it's a Sentinel that's coming fairly soon, and we do get our first look very, very soon. I'll show you when later on in the video, and I'll give you time zones as well, just so you know roughly when to look for on the stream. But let's get straight into some of the leaks that we've started to see recently. So obviously we've had some of the leaks that came out, including this video here, which is on the Valorant Leaks Twitter. Talked about the Execute Revenge program, some of the things like that. People are wondering and speculating what that could mean. What we do know is that it's a Sentinel that's coming with a kit that's similar to Cypher and KJ. It's been rumoured to be quite broken due to some of the articles that we've seen and some of the insider information that's already come out, which we'll get into as well. But let's start looking at what the agent actually could look like. There's been a couple of rumours and a couple of people sort of teasing it. Most notably, this first one came out with the rank here, and if you look, you can almost see an eye here, the rest of the face, almost like a hood or the hair sort of working around within this rank or icon that sort of got released recently. You can make out the player icon for a female agent in the game, or so people are speculating. And the way that she looks, people are assuming she's related to Sova. Some people think it's related to Breach in some way. I'm not sure anyone really knows. We do have a little bit more of a in-depth look as well. With silver gold hair, a stunning blend, 4 unique moles, a message to send, a mechanical hand, bear strength within, guess who I am if you dare. It sounds very much related to Sova, you know, with the bear and some of the other things that have come out, some of the previous leaks. And the Breach stuff comes from just the Norway aspect and Sweden, that sort of connection that they have. People seem to think that the character might be from Norway. We also had some more, so this was the original tweet that came, and someone said that the video here linked said that this pic is the head photo of a new female agent who has grey hair and an artificial limb. They also said she's going to be so strong and even better than Chamber, blah blah blah. I think this was Ethan said something about that at some point, and people took it literally. I'm not sure that's really the case. We also have another look here, which people believe is the Sentinel, so you can see sort of the kit. Sort of looks a little bit like Chamber actually, but you can see that they're very much an inventor and an engineer. The tablet down in the bottom left here, people talking about as well with all the player cards and like sort of the icons and stuff on the headshots. People seem to think there's some links towards that. And we also had this picture of feet, which also got leaked as well. But so there's quite a few things that are pointing to the look of the character and what we can expect them to look like. People think it's going to be a female agent linked potentially to Sova and Breach. It's going to be a Sentinel with Cypher/KJ utility, and we can expect to see it in a week's time. On the 24th, I do believe, it will be 24th of June, 8 PM Pacific time. It'll be on the 25th at 4 AM for UK and BST, and I think it's midday for Japan on the 25th as well, after the show matches happened at BCT Masters Tokyo. So that is the day that we are going to see our first actual look officially. It has been leaked, but that's what they say the first official look will be at the new agent. So if you want to see it then, make sure you tune in, come check it out. I think we can look forward to it. I think there's high expectations, and we're only a week away from getting our first actual official preview. And so that is it. Obviously, with more information that comes out over the next week and when the launch actually happens or the reveal, I'll be making more videos about that and giving you some updates on that as well, and maybe some insights that aren't always super obvious. But yeah, hopefully you caught up to speed on what the new agent is. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment everything. Let me know what you thought about the video, and let me know what you think about the new agent. And I will see you in the next video.
Welcome, Deadlock. You have something for me.
I told you before. Keep your eyes off me.
Come on, it's what I do. Now, what do we have here?
It's worse than we thought. What do you think? Will he listen?
I got in. You tell me.
Call Brimstone.
So, Agent 20 has been announced and released as Fade at the end of April, and we're a few days into the playtest now of her in comp and also unrated. And I figured I'd do a little agent guide on her, just look at some of the abilities and see what more we can gather just without just reading the F1 and just reading like what the things are. After some playing, I think there's a few things like worth noting, and I figured I'd make an agent guide on her real quick. So let's jump into what the Prowler is.
Bring them down. Bring them down.
So the Prowler is sort of like Sky's ultimate ability. Equip a Prowler, fire send out the Prowler forward, hold fire to steer the Prowler towards your crosshair. The Prowler will chase down the first enemy or terror trail it sees and near sight the enemy on impact. Now it gives you a lot of information, but the main thing to pick up from that is that it follows the trails, the terror trails. So when you use this, and let's say that you go and you pick up some bots here. Let's say you use one of your abilities that gives trails. What you can do with this is you can attach it onto those trails, and it will fly onto the trails. You see how it says trail detected? So with the Prowler, you can use this sort of around any corner, as long as you've sent out that trail, and you can see the trail either from the F ability, which we'll get onto in a minute, or from the ultimate ability. It attaches onto the trails, and it'll tell you trail detected, and it'll go chase after that person. So it gives you a lot of the info as well. It tells you what agent you have actually got the trail on. So let's say you use your ability and you spot a Brimstone, but you don't know it's a Brimstone. So when you use this and attach it onto the trail, it tells you what agent you found. So the Prowler is pretty useful for gathering intelligence and information on what's happening, but it does need to be used alongside, I think, the other abilities to get the max out of it. But using on its own, it can be pretty useful, just sort of sending it around a corner and just seeing who's there. But yeah, I'd use it with the other abilities. So the Seize ability is the Not a Fear ability. It's similar to a lot of other throwables. I think it's similar to Astra's, where it sort of pulls them in, holds the enemies, deafens, decays them. I'll be honest, I haven't found much use with this as of yet. I think as soon as people start realizing that some of the lineups you can do with it, it'll be a lot better. But it does feel a little bit underpowered, and all it really does is sort of do area denial. The one thing that is cool about it though is that you can hold it and stop it in place just by tapping the key again. So for me it's C. So you throw it out and you press C again and you can stop it where you like. It's got quite a big radius, but it is really, I mean, area denial more than anything. It's not particularly useful, but it's just sort of a random utility ability that I feel like you could just use when someone's pushing site or something. Now the Haunt ability. The Haunt ability is probably one of my favorite abilities on Fade. The thing that I think isn't super clear with the Haunt is that it seems like it's kind of like Reyna, where you just sort of throw something out and you sort of stop it or whatever, and it flashes or does whatever, you know what I mean? The thing with this is that you can send it so far. It has like a capped distance on it, but you can send it like at any height and it'll go through. It's a throwable and it drops all the way down. So on sites like Bind, where you can sort of chuck it over the sites from it's, you know, mid or maybe over showers or something, you can send it all the way over and it'll go through and stop on the other side and it will show people over there. So I mean, I don't know if I can give you a good example here necessarily, like over the top there, stuff like that, and it just attaches through, and it's also a little bit buggy, as you can see it goes through, but it is quite strong. I really like Haunt. And what else did I have to say about it? It's so powerful in like randomly used places. So if you're quite techie with it and don't always go and play the same basic default spots, you can be pretty good and just sort of get it in weird places that's going to get you all the info, and then you can start sending out your Prowlers or whatever and get more info on them there. Now finally onto her ultimate. The ultimate is called Nightfall. Very similar in the way that you use it to Breach, where you send out a wave of like Earthquake or whatever it is with Breach, but with her it's like a nightmare. It deafens them, it decays them, and it also marks them all with terror trails. So similar to how the Haunt does, where it'll ping them all with the trails, this also does it. So when those trails disappear, I'll just show you the Prowler again quickly. It also produces trails from itself. So there's no powering up with it, it's instant use. You just straight up use it straight away, and it sort of flows through the map slowly and goes all the way to the end. Now you can dodge it, but I think if you use, it's got a good range on it, so I think if you use it up against a wall, close sight somewhere that there's no getting away from it, it is really strong. Again, it's all about the trails with Fade. Like, you can gather every bit of information. It's just so good, and initiating with it as well is just incredible. You have so much information, you know who you're peeking, and there's a good chance that they're going to be deafened or decayed by the time you get around to peeking them if you use your abilities correctly. Super strong kit. I really enjoyed her. one other thing that I found just in general without sort of looking at her abilities is that the character model itself, as you'll see from the thumbnail, is quite a skinny character. It's quite a small character. And just that sort of presence of having like a quick character model moving around that's quite small, hard to hit. I don't think it makes much of a difference, like really with like the hitboxes and whatever, but it is really strong and it feels like a serious presence. Like when you play against one, you're kind of annoyed because you feel like she's always like skirting away from you. And just like this, the presence of all her noises and everything, the sound of her kit is like super on edgy. So super on edgy, shall I say? But yeah, hopefully you learned a little something about Fade. Make sure you're using your abilities properly. Make sure you're setting up your trails, attaching on the prowlers to them, goes and finds people. Super strong. The C's ability, start finding the lineups for it. It'll be really good. And the ultimate, obviously getting on the trails, really strong. Hope you learned something. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe in the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. So let's get straight into it. We're going to start out on Haven, and we're going to work our way through each bomb site on each map. First one for C, on Haven, plant it how you would for long, and make your way back to your spawn. And all you have to do is jump up on this ledge, tuck yourself into the corner, and you're lining up these two lines here, indicated by the arrow. Left click press, and it'll make its way all the way over. From spawn, it does take a little bit of time, but it lands perfectly for where you planted it for long. Easy. Next up, we're on the B site, and this one's a little bit trickier. Put the bomb down like that, make your way back over here, and jump up on this ledge here, on this vase. What you want to do is, it's kind of difficult to see, but you're looking at a black crack there. And what you want to do is line it up like how you see with the arrow here. And you are just lining up the tooltip slightly, the little HUD for the incendiary, for the molly, and pressing. And what that'll do is it'll come over, it'll drop just here, and land for the plant. What? Oh my god. Wait, this is like one of the worst like pixel glitches I think I've ever seen. So this lineup is actually super simple. Look on the right side of your screen if you make sure you have all the weapons shown, tooltip on. Line up the bottom of that line on the right side, indicated by the arrow, with the top of the little floral pattern on the like diamond there. Up with the top, left click press, it'll fly over, and it lands pretty much dead perfect for it, and it covers quite a large radius as well. Do be careful though, because I did just find a little pixel skipping glitch. I'll insert a clip of it now if I can find it, but you should be okay. So we're over on Fracture now. Let's do the typical default A plant, where you plant it somewhere there, and make your way back out of main. Now when you're out of main, come back over here and slot yourself into this gap in the wall. This lineup is a little bit strange, but what you're looking for is the tip of your incendiary, as you can see from the arrow, and you're lining it up just so that the tip is slightly in line with the line you can see there, and you are just left click pressing. And what will happen is, as you can see, it bounces off the roof of that and lands perfectly to cover that entire plant. Now the next really useful must-know one is for the B site on Fracture. Plant it how you would normally for the main plant, or the default, and make your way back out of main towards your spawn. When you're here, slide yourself up onto this grass bit and look into this crack here, and all you're looking for are these sets of leaves here. And you're aiming for the top curved one, as you can see by the arrow. Left click press, and that will just fly over, and it will either land and bounce there, or it will land just there, and it will just cover the entire area. And don't worry, all this bit is still within the fire. It's all fine. So we're over on Ascent now, so let's go look at the default plant. Take the bomb, put it for the default plant, and make your way out towards the A main. Really easy one, this one. Make your way to this corner here, and what you are lining up with is that you can see on these like walls here, just this little tip of this one, aim your crosshair just slightly above it, left click press, and it bounces off that wall and lands perfectly for the default plant. So let's go look at the B site. Now we're over on the B site. This one's really simple once again. Plant it for the default like you normally would, and make your way back out towards the main. Again, like I said, this one's really simple. Make your way over to the corner just out here and line up like follows. Look at the arrow. Make sure that two lines that flick off are both touching the edges of the wooden piece. Left click press and watch it fly over, and it will bounce just before it and should land on top of the box. And it covers the whole site either way. And gets the default plant perfect. We're on bind now. Let's do the typical default plant for A site that everybody should really know. Plant the bomb like you would in the default spot and make your way out short. Jump on top of this barrel, and what you're lining up for here is, if you look at the arrow, you're looking at the lamp, and the best course of action is to try and get it just a little bit higher than you think you might need it. Play it somewhere there, left click press, and what it'll do is it'll fly over and it'll bounce off these stairs and will slow itself down just on the vehicle here and land to cover the entire plant that you need just there. So B site bind now, plant like you might do for the normal default or the long plant, make your way out long and come all the way down to this corner here. Put yourself into the corner and just line up with the arrows that you see on screen. Basically just the little edge of this incendiary, like the little symbol, the line. You're just lining yourself up with that and tucking it under the cylinder, just where the arrow is, really easy to follow. Left click press and it should bounce and just about land somewhere here and covers the entire default plant. So welcome on over to Lotus C site. Lotus is a really difficult map to do Brim lineups for, but I think I found a good one for C site. Plants like you would do for the mound, typical plants. Make your way over to these back boxes over here, and you're tucking yourself just into these boxes. Push yourself into the corner, and you're looking at this like blue box here, as you can see from the arrows, and you're just lining up the bottom left of the box with the tip of the incendiary icon, and you are left click pressing, and what it does is it'll bounce just off that curved edge there, make its way onto here. Sometimes it'll ride on the ledge, but it just covers the plant for mounts, and that is probably the best one you're going to get. Otherwise you have to do like weird plants over there, or maybe default plant or something, but for the actual like round running one, putting one there is the best. Now the B site one is a little bit easier. Plant it like there, in that corner, just in that little slot, make your way out towards the main, push yourself into the corner of this box just here, and this one's a pretty easy lineup. Once again, you're looking at the arrow, just for the tip of the incendiary icon, left click press, it'll come up here, it'll bounce once, just off this little lip on the edge, and just bounce down and get good coverage on the bomb, like that. And finally, on the A site of Lotus, plant either side of this box, it doesn't matter, they're both pretty much the default plant. Make your way back out towards the main, and push yourself into this corner just here, up against this, and you are looking just here at this second leaf, and you are lining up the edge of the stim beacon to the incendiary, like the connection between them, the two lines that you see from the arrow, just the edge of that on the right, with that leaf, left click press, it'll fly up and it should land just on top of the box there, and that covers both the left and the right. It might not look like it, but they are both in the molly on each side, so don't worry about it. Next up we have Pearl. Welcome to the Pearl A site, do the default plant, and we're going to make our way out of the main. I'm going to tuck ourselves into this corner just here, push ourselves into it, and all we're looking for, if you look at the arrow, is just the top of this tooltip just here, in line with the line on the bricks. Left click press. It takes a little while to come down because it's just going straight up, and it will just land perfectly to cover the entire default sort of plant range. So over on the updated B site now on Pearl, plant it like you normally would for long. Maybe you're not going to do that much anymore, but this is still like the default sort of one you go to. Plant it there anyway, make your way over to the corner up here at the top of the ramp, come into the corner all the way, and what you're looking for, if you look at the arrows right now, is just to rest the sort of upside down triangle on the sort of roof latching sort of thing there. Lay it across that side, along that line, and it comes in a little bit hot, but it does land perfect, and it still covers all of the bomb perfectly, no problem. Onto the last map in the current rotation. Let's do the plant in this corner, for example. Sometimes people do it when they play Heaven or something. Gonna make your way up towards the ramp and dig yourself into this corner here. You can push forward, it'll put you in. And this one's a bit more of a simple lineup. All you try and do is get in line with the big white beam, as you can see from the arrows, and just try and get it somewhere a little bit more in the middle, a little bit closer to this side. You can see roughly where I'm aiming. Left click press, and what it'll do is come down and just drop perfectly for that corner. If you go a little bit high, it can land on top of that, but if you go a little bit left, a little bit right, it's not really the end of the world. It should still land and cover that pretty well. Just make sure you get it in that line with the blue beam and just follow the arrows for all of these lineups and you should be good to go. So the absolute last lineup in this video now is over on the B site onto split. Plant it if you like you would for long. I think this is one of the best plants you can do. Make your way out to the main, out of the garage, all the way back into roughly your spawn, pretty much all the way over here. And this one's a little bit of a tricky lineup, but all you are looking for is essentially to try and line up the connectors once again between the incendiary and the smokes. And you are just aiming it here where the arrow is pointing you, just on the join of where the building sort of like trim lines go. Left click press, line it up with that right side of the line, and it will just land nicely and cover that really well. Like I said, the arrows are going to give you the advice for all of these, you know, just follow along with the tips, and you won't really go wrong. Some of them are a little bit more difficult, yeah, I admit, but a lot of these you won't have seen before. Many of these are just randomly ones that I've tried and have worked well in games, so, but yeah. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more videos like this, if you want to see more in-depth specific ones for Brimstone on certain maps, whether it's lineups, whether it's you know, a guide to playing him or other agents, let me know in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one. The newest skin line coming to Valorant has just been leaked, introducing the brand new Daydreams bundle. featuring a classic, phantom, operator, judge, and of course the melee, which is a crowbar. With it only being deluxe rarity, I would expect there to not be much animation going on with the skin. As you can tell from the video, it doesn't really look like there's going to be much anyway, but you can expect it to cost around 5,100 total VP for the entire bundle. And also, if you weren't aware as well, the night market does return very soon, so maybe it's worth saving a VP for that. Next up, we have the brand new patch notes for version 7.03. There isn't much to go through with this one, it's only minor changes and bug fixes, but let's have a quick look anyway. Some of the behavior updates from the new system is added party text mutes for people who receive team text mutes, and improved visibility and readability for behavioral warning messaging system. Store updates, ability to immediately favorite newly purchased or unlocked items at the end of a game, which does not include titles, and the ability to directly navigate your newly purchased or unlocked spray in the collections tab from the confirmation screen right after a game. And although this patch was pretty lackluster in terms of content, the next one should be filled with a lot more balance changes. It's mainly a little bit dead right now just because VCT is going on, they don't want to change too much. And speaking of VCT, the games are live as we speak right now over the next few weeks, so make sure you tune in and get your new rewards. You can get the title The Lowrider, you can get the Gekko diff spray, and of course you can get the player card for VCT 2023 on August 26th. Make sure you're tuning into the streams and getting all your rewards, and I will catch you in the next video. Is Chamber becoming Valorant's most overpowered agent once again? As we all know from previous episodes and acts, just how broken he was before, replacing Jets on teams, just being so fast. A pocket duelist, some people called him. He was abused in pro play, he was abused in rank play through every single rank, and in 6.11 we might be seeing that happening once again. Now the title of this video should be something like how Chamber will break the Valorant meta again. Well, realistically, he kind of broke it horrendously before, and these new updates are kind of shifting us towards that pattern once again. We're going to go through some of the changes now, and then we'll have a look at some of the maps and see what he can do now that he's got new updates to specifically his trademark range. But anyway, let's go through one by one and we'll talk about what the patch notes actually say about him. Now the patch notes say this, and I quote, "Chamber has taken a backseat in overall pick rate after the last round of changes in patch 5.12. At the time, we reduced Chamber's sphere of influence significantly. We're looking to put more power into his ability to lurk and give him more flexibility within his setups." Now it's always scary reading the patch notes from the devs on this because they often get the balancing wrong and they push things too far, or maybe don't do things as much as they should do. Especially in this update now, I think they're kind of, in this update meta should I say, they're really scared of shifting and balancing things how they think they should be, and instead leave things lackluster, or they overtune because they're a little bit out of touch with things, and I'm not here to bash them or anything like that. So as we can see from their notes initially on the changes, they're looking to just bring him a little bit more back into the limelight, and honestly, it almost seems like they're trying to push him back too far, but I mean, we're going to see from the changes and see what everyone else thinks as well. But let's go through one by one what the changes actually are. So his rendezvous, which is his TP, they say they reduced weapon equip time after post teleport lockout from 0.7 seconds to 0 seconds, so it's instant. When I tested this in game, which I'll probably show you later on, it didn't seem like that. It didn't seem like it was instant. Whether that's because I haven't played Chamber for such a long time, or whether because they've not tuned it properly, I'm not quite sure. But it seems to be that you equip your weapon faster after teleporting. And you can test that for yourself. If you're a Chamber main, maybe you'll know the difference. But for me, I didn't feel that much of a difference. But I think the big change realistically with Chamber this time around is the trademark, which is his trip. They have increased the disable range from 4,000 to 5,000. So on the map before, his radius that it would equip in and stay active in is now much larger. And when I say much larger, it doesn't sound like much, 4,000 to 5,000, but that actually makes a difference between sort of being able to play on one flank on like a triple site map and still having it active on the other side of the map. So let's take something like Haven, you could have it active in Garage and probably still be able to peek A long, things like that. But we'll go through the maps and have a look at that later on, obviously, as well. And they've also reduced the armor speed from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, so it become active a little bit quicker as well. And the last change is to the Tour de Force, which is his ultimate, and they've increased the firing rate by 15%. It got tanked before, I seem to remember. It used to be really rapid, it used to be really broken sort of operator that you'd get every few rounds. It was great for economy. He is still a great eco pick as well, but the ultimate wasn't as good before, and there was not as much clutch potential out of it. It was really like slow and sluggish, but now 15% increase in the fire rate makes it a lot more viable, and we'll have a look at that in game as well. So let's look at it this way, right? You're a Chamber player on Ascent. We're going to go through each map one by one, and realistically, you probably don't have to have someone playing mid if you're going to have a Chamber tripping that. The only thing you suppose you have to worry about is having someone play tree for an A player. But realistically, if you look at the map now, you can see that, you know, the mid walk up to market is tripped, and you can peek from both A main and B main as Chamber, and your trip would not disable. Whereas before, if you played A in this setup, for example, it would disable. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now over on sort of the A side peak and what you can maybe get away with now. So let's say you're a chamber playing this, you're still within your trips range, perfectly fine. So you've tripped mid, you don't have to have someone specifically playing for it, you can have someone playing tree, sort of doubling up for A. You can set your TP down somewhere like realistically kind of safe, I guess, if you have a tree player, and you can fast peek, and you know you can hit your TP completely fine, no problem, and you're still in full trip range. So let's go have a look at it somewhere else. Maybe let's go have a look at it on the B site. If you were to say a chamber player on B, and you wanted a fast peek where you get away, maybe you play like that and you do like a corner or something, like a weird setup. Again, you're getting away with your free peek and getting away to safety. You still trip middle, you're safe from that. I suppose you could put that somewhere else. Maybe I'm not exactly well versed on the chamber motive, but you know, just getting away with things like this, still getting a TP off. Still trip middle, fine, perfect both sides. Ascent is like a perfect one for chamber to play. You can even literally drop back to site like somewhere here and still be in your trips range. It's good. It looks good for Ascent. Now, we're on Bind. I think Chamber is a bit of a different pick for Bind. I wouldn't really know why you would want to play him on here. I think there's a lot better characters for it specifically. But probably a few things that you would want to trip if you're a Chamber player. I suppose if you're playing B, you're going to probably want to trip whatever it is that you're not holding, but you're probably doubling up on the site anyway. But for the sake of it, you know, let's say you want to do it in hookah. So you trip hookah. Maybe you want to go play along with your op or something. Still playing it, you're still fine, obviously within your range, perfectly fine within that for that. And if you wanted to do your trip or something, you know, you can trip that, or you can even go further back potentially. What sort of range could you go? You probably go to that and get back to site pretty safe. Fast peek, getting away fine, still tripped, everything's still good. But I feel like you're probably not going to get as much value out of that. Probably the best way you're going to play Chamber on Bind is through playing Heaven, most likely, which means that you're going to want to maybe trip Showers or something like that, and then put yourself with your TP up in Heaven. So let's say you go into Showers, place your trip down, and as you can see on the mini-map, if you look now, you can just still play in Heaven with your trip active there, which means that you could technically solo hold A for information and everything else, and play this fast, and you can put your trip in the corner, you play this fine, you play your angle with your up, whatever you need to do, hit that, hit your TP, got all the information there, perfect. It looks great on the map, it looks perfect for the setup. One other thing you could potentially try is, I suppose if you're not playing that, you could maybe trip that still, and then play in just here like normally, like you might normally play it as any other agent, and you're still within the range itself as well, as you can see on the map. And you can put your trip down, play the angle, and hit your TP back if you need to. There's probably also a way of doing it, which I'll have a quick look at now, so if there's a skip, that's why, but I'm going to see if you can try and play opposite sites and have the trip active as well. So here's another thing that I found. I have my trip currently placed in hookah, as you can see in the corner, covering for the info on that, but I'm also able to actually play A short as well at the same time. So this is also a little bit more of a multi-role character, I guess, now that you can fill information for both sites. You're playing for A short and you're playing for B hookah. That's like full information. So I would say if you're gonna be a chamber player, you should probably play A, and you can do that trip, or you can play for the one in Showers, and then you can play Heaven. Something like that is probably the best setup, and obviously you still get away with your doing your TP like this and stuff. You take your shots, you TP, and all you gotta do to get back in trademark range is just walk a little bit over here and get it reactivated, and you're all good to go. So Bind again is looking really good for him, and Chamber's been so undervalued since his nerfs previously in patch 5.12 or whatever it was, the last one they said it was. His changes now are bringing him much more into the front of the pack, and I think that makes him a little bit more broken for this setup, just because someone like KJ, someone like Cypher doesn't really have this ability to set up on defense and also be, you know, aggressive on a peak and not throw their lives away completely, because you know you've got your TP to get away fast from a peak if you need to. You have your pocket op basically with this, which is just unbelievably broken. You have your actual op, which is now a lot stronger, and you can get away with a TP so fast. It's like a mini jet, but that has good defensive capabilities as well. So Bind, A+ again for Chamber. So this is probably sort of the first thing I would look at if I was Chamber playing from Fracture. With the new update now to the radius, I feel like you can get away with a much wider of a peak and still be TP as well, obviously, like off the rip. So this is playing B main on Fracture. You can peek this far, still be in your trip. You could probably move your trip a little bit closer as well, maybe, but you're still within range of your trademark as well for your trips. So again, you don't get that awkward timing sometimes where you can come all the way down here and you're like maybe aggressive peeking and then they hit a flank on you B, come through your arcade. that can get really frustrating. But this new update kind of gets rid of that. I mean, you can peek all the way out. You can play really weird angles. Anyway, the point is that Chamber now can play quite aggressively on this pick and not get away with him being caught out on an arcade flank or something like that because he's out of range of his trip. So B, locked up, looking good. Let's have a look at something else. Now if you take a look at the minimap for this setup for A on Fracture again, you can now see that we are within range of our trademark that is out there on drop. So we are covered for that flank pretty nicely for information. And we are still within range of our TP like this as well. It all fits in nicely just on the map. So you can get away, have a quick peek, and you can just about make your way up before they rush through a main, use their full utility to clear you. So if I was a Chamber, probably playing on Fracture, I think this A setup is pretty good because you're playing for the information there. You could also alternate these between themselves as well, so you could maybe trip in A main and play drop yourself. But I think it's better to trip drop and to trip your sort of main flanks that happen and then play for the actual mains itself, the main peaks, not necessarily the flanks. So for A, I would play like this, and for B, the one I showed you is pretty good. I would probably say there's probably new ways of putting your TP down to play that differently, but you know, I think if you're a Chamber, you're probably going to play A and keep this tripped, and you can fast peek with this, get away. And by the time you trips, if they've committed at the same time, by the time your trip's gone, you can play that as well pretty comfortably. You're out of A main safe, whatever, all good. So it looks pretty good for Fracture as well. Haven is going to be one of those tricky maps. 3 bomb sites means the Chamber can play a lot more versatile wherever he wants to. Let's do the typical trip that people place, which just about gets that. So we're playing that. So where can we peek off the map? Let's take a look at the map and see where we can actually peek and get away with still being active on that. So we can play C, as we pretty much could before, fine. We can peek B main, which is fine. And we can also, it would appear, to peek A short and get away with it and just play that corner. So let's go take a look at that quickly now, because that looks like the most interesting one, I would say. So let's say you put your trip down for garage, you're playing that information, but at the same time, you can fast peek down A short if you really wanted to get away with it. You know, you can TP whatever else to get back. So let's say you wanted to TP back to that corner of the site. You can peek all the way down here, and you are still within your TP, even out this far. So you can get away with the TP out this far. So you press your TP, you're away, trip's still active on garage, and you can still play this corner and still be active, like all the way. You can even get out of spawn probably before it even deactivates, can you? Yep. So you can even fully rotate and get out before that trip's even deactivated. And vice versa, you can come in and go out and it'll still be there. So that is pretty much a golden trip, I would say. Just the fact that you can peek off A alone and get away with it is fine. Let's take a look at some other ones though. Now, this trip isn't perfect obviously because it lets them get into B pretty much for free, but you have the info at least. But if you take a look at the map, we can play both for A long and C long and get away with it completely. We can play behind the sites, we can play for peaks, we can play for literally anything we want and still have that tripped. And like I said, it's not the most perfect trip ever, but you can place it pre-round, get away with it, and you can go play for your peak down here, and you can place your trip, peek out, TP away, no problem. I'll show you that now. And you're out with that. Your trip's still active in B, have all the information in the world. Let's go take a quick look over at C, a TP down, and you can once again fast peek, look at the map, you're still within range of your TP, your trademark, everything. Good, looks good. And I would say that's probably the way you should play it. I don't think you should use it for anything else. I think tripping garage or tripping B and then playing somewhere else sort of frees up the opportunity for your team to play a little bit more aggressive somewhere and double up, maybe triple up somewhere. I definitely think it's worth doing the garage one and playing sort of A short. I think that was quite technical, but if you want to just be a little bit more holistic and maybe you're playing retake on B, maybe you play with a breach or someone and you got the util to break through like a post plant. So I would say maybe the B one is good, but more than often than not, I think the garage one plays well with a good team, and you can play for your A short or you play C, whatever you want to do. And yeah, I think Haven's a good play as well. So we're on Pearl now, and I think this is one of the maps where Chamber will once again be quite broken with the triple setup. I think you can get quite technical with it, and I don't really know what the best one's going to be in terms of how to play him, just because I think there's a lot of things you can trip and sort of forget about. But the first one I think we should take a look at is probably tripping inside B, maybe doing something just completely standard, completely basic. You can do it anywhere. I think more than likely you're going to want to just put it on the corner so you have the info if they're like playing it at all. And straight away we can see that you can play A stairs and you can play anywhere pretty much on C. So let's take a look at the A stairs on the map now. So you go over, you play from the corner, you can play around the corner and get in there before you TP, before your trip runs out of range. But more than likely you're going to do like a TP like this, and you're going to want to try and play it close like this. Take your shot, get away, still in full range of everything. Looks good. Let's go take a look over at C now. Like I said, it's going to be a great map for him regardless. You can play your C1, you're still in the trip range, so you have info on if they're pushing into B, you can retake, whatever, you can play door, and you get away with your fast peek. You're still in your TP range, trip's good, everything good. Once again, easy map really. There's probably not many other ways you'd want to play that. Suppose you could do like the trip into a tree and play inside B, you'd have the range for that. Everything else feels like it's probably not worth it. The idea is that you want to use your trip for the information and then play something else that's important. And I think tripping tree versus having someone play tree, you get a little bit more value out of having someone play it, I think, and doubling up A. So yeah, I think the setup more implies that you probably want to trip it inside B and play a retake on that, just because the site's so dynamic anyway. And then you can play off your C or your A peak or whatever you want to do, something like that. So Lotus is an easy one. So Pearl is an interesting map for Chamber completely now, because of the ability of this range now means that you can do so much more. So let's place the trip down somewhere safe. And if you take a look at the map, you can see that we have tripped over here up at B link, which covers obviously the rotation through back into your spawn and into like the connector or whatever, and also you guess the door, and you'll walk down here. You have your trip place, you can fast peek off B long, completely fine, get away with it. You're even covered playing all the way back here with your trip. Like you can play all the way back here, play it safe, do whatever you want, and you're still covered in your trip. Also run the new Pearl changes so that all this is accurate and up to date. So yeah, so B is a lockup wrapped, and you'll also see from the map that we actually have room over on A now to fast peek and get away with it and still be active with our trip as well. So we put our trip down and we can fast peek, get away with it, TP out, we're still in range of our trip as you can see on the map. You can play in art, you can play for you can maybe play in flowers a little bit if you really wanted to, just try and hide a little bit more. You're still within your range if you play something like this, just to be really sneaky and try and get away with something. I don't know. But the point is that you can fast peek on both sides and still have your trip active and still have your TP to get away safe. Everything within range, nothing's, you know, breaking anywhere. Pearl, super broken once again for Chamber, and is going to be great once again. One thing I do want to say, I was going to say it probably works for art as well. It doesn't actually work for art. If you wanted to trip art, you're going to have to play sort of B heaven if you wanted to be able to be like multi-site or something like that. You're going to have to sort of play somewhere along here, and you can't exactly go back without breaking it. Yeah, I think this is probably the strat, but again, I don't think you'd play like this. I think you'd want to do the B-link trip and then play something along those lines, sort of for the A pick or the B pick. You probably wouldn't want to trip R and then play B heaven. I don't think that would be the play. You'd have to have someone playing for B link at that point. This is a super set defensive setup, I think, if you was to do this, and I don't think this is the right way you should be playing it. I think you should be playing it more aggressive. So I wouldn't recommend tripping art, but the B link trip and then playing for either site is probably the better way to go about it. And here we go over onto the last map in the current rotation. We are on Split, which is probably one of the worst maps for Chamber, I would say, just because I think you get a lot of value out of a Sage Wall mid, and you know, people can argue that it's break it and it's over, but no, I mean, there's a lot of value, and your slows up mid are really good. Probably be a little bit of a waste to play a Chamber on this map, but let's just say for the sake of it, maybe we wanted to. Where would we want to trip? Where would we want to play? Well, you're probably going to have to be the person tripping for middle, so let's try and get a trip that covers all of that. So we are now tripped both for good at that, and if you take a look at the map, you can see that we can peek on A pretty much everywhere we want to, or that you'd maybe really want to anyway. And on B, it would appear that we can't quite get away with what we want to do, which means we probably need to adjust our trip a little bit. It's probably not too much of an issue. Maybe something like that. They could boost up and over that box, but I don't think they would. So something like that probably more gets you away with it. So if you look at the map, you can fast peek on B, and you can also fast peek towards ramp, heaven on A, anything like that looks good. So let's have a look at how that B pick would go. Maybe you trip something like that, you can fast peek, TP away, trip active, TP good, safe, no problems. And let's go take a quick look over at A now. So let's say you want to play for like maybe ramp. You do a TP to get away. Nice, you can play that. You probably even put it a little bit further back actually. Not too sure about the ranges at the minute. Play something like that. Fast peek, TP away, still within range of your trip. TP is nice and safe, you're looking good. Same thing for heaven. You know, you can't replace screens because your trip won't be in range, but you can do, you know, a safe pick for heaven. Something safe, get away, in range of everything, still perfect. even when you're out here, you're still within range of your trip, no problem. TP safe, looking good. So again, there's probably not much more you'd want to trip if you're playing on split as chamber. You kind of have to play mid as a sentinel and just hope they don't boost over that box or use something to get over that box, but you're going to hear it on the map anyway. But yeah, so it also looks good for split as well. So in reality, in the rotation, there's not one bad map for chamber. I think there's probably better picks, and I think there's still value in Cypher, KJ, and Sage elsewhere on the map, and with a new Sentinel coming later this year, obviously. Yeah, he has a lot of usage. The problem is with him, you have to play really aggressive. You have to be someone who's fast speaking. You have to make value out of the space that you're given. If they aren't playing your site and you've got something tripped, you can hit a flank, and realistically, you can just play the dangerous game all the time of flanking, and they're always going to be on the toes about it, not sure what to do. And I don't want to drag this out too much, but obviously other people have their opinions, and other agents have their own playstyles and what makes sense and where they're better. I just think that Chamber was so broken in his previous state that he kind of has a place again now, being back usable. And for lower ranks, I think he could dominate. And I think for higher ranks, maybe going to be another question. But yeah, I mean, my opinion is that he's obviously quite broken. I think he could shift the meta quite a lot as people figure out better places to put his trips and stuff. You know, we're only a few days in at this point to the new ranges for stuff, so other stuff might get found. But from what I see right now, I think it's quite meta breaking, and I look forward to using him more in comp myself and just seeing what I can take with him. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave a like, comment everything, subscribe to the channel. Going to be uploading a lot more content, and we've got a lot more things coming out soon that are planned. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. KO is one of the easiest agents to learn inside Valorant. His kit feels so similar to other FPS style games that it's so easy for a new player to understand and grasp instantly. But because he's so easy to understand, that doesn't necessarily mean he's really good at that level. What you need to know is that KO has a really low skill floor and a really high skill ceiling, and mastering him is the absolute key to getting the most out of him and not be detrimental on your team. Combined with the fact that KO isn't quite meta right now as well, as I'm doing this video in patch 6.11, it's quite obvious that you need to understand and use him appropriately to get the most out of him and be effective for your team. Fear not though, because this guide is going to teach you some of the most important tips and some of the tech behind KO and how to maximize his potential all the way. I'm going to go through the kit individually and go and break down each specific part and how they work. And I'm also going to show you a library of where you can find KO lineups, and if you weren't aware, his lineups are the exact same as Killjoy's Molly lineups as well, so if you really wanted to and you knew the Killjoy ones already, you could apply them to your game as well. But this guide is going to be specifically about mastering KO. Even if you're a new player coming through, or if you're an experienced player, there's going to be things that you can learn from this, so stick around, stay tuned, like, subscribe, comment, everything, and let's get into the video. So let's talk about KO's kit a little bit more in-game. We'll look at the tooltips, we'll talk a bit more about them individually, and I'll tell you some things that probably aren't obvious straight away as well. So the first bit of KO's kit that we want to take a look at will be the knife, otherwise known as a 0 point. In-game, it basically says that it's a suppression blade, you fire it, and it suppresses the target. What that basically means is that when you use the knife in a sphere, which if people didn't know, when you use it, it comes in a sphere. It basically suppresses the enemy and stops their abilities being able to be used. This also means that ultimate abilities can't be used, which we'll touch on a bit more later, but stuff like Showstopper, Razor Showstopper, or Jets, Bladestorm, etc. can't be used if they're also caught in the knife. So it's really good to use like in a pinch if you're trying to stop something like that from happening to you. But the point is, the knife, when you use it, it appears in a sphere, and on the map as well you'll see that the radius that it's in too, so you can get people that higher, lower, which is really good for maps that, with a bit more verticality. Something like Icebox maybe is quite good for it, because you can do the lineup and it'll hit, for example, upstairs, downstairs, wherever, or something like B site maybe, where it's quite important. But yeah, so the point is that the knife can use higher, lower, and yeah. The knife can also be shot, however, by the enemy, so just keep that in mind that when you're using it. We'll go a little bit more into the tech of it later and how you can avoid stuff like that happening, but just know that they can shoot it or knife it to destroy it. The next thing I want to talk about is the flashes, and we're going to go into a bit more detail again later on with the flashes, so skip ahead if you want to find out a bit more about them. But the point is, the flashes, if you come from CSGO or something like that, you'll know that you can left click for your flash, which you can turn away from, and right click. The difference is the left click goes quite far, as you can see through the trail through the wall, and the right click is short distance, as you can see. So they have different detonation timers for how they pop, and they go different distances depending on the left click and the right click. Left click is far, right click is short. The other thing with the flashes is that if you look directly at them, as opposed to sort of them being a little bit more off your like center of your screen, you'll be flashed more. So for example, if I use right now and I'm looking straight at it, I'll feel the full blind effects. Whereas if I used it and I'm looking a little bit away, I'm only getting popped a little bit by it. So like I said, we're going to go a bit more into that later, but what that kind of means is that sometimes you can do these flashes just to the side. We'll do a really basic thing. You do something like that, you can turn. They're going to be full blind because they're looking this way, and you're only going to be partially blind for that split second as you're peeking out, and you're good to go. But like I said, we're going to get more into that later, a bit more in-depth technical about that, and anyway, let's move on to the next one. The next bit of kit is the last usual kit that we would have with KO, and it's called the fragment grenade. It's a bit like a molly, bit like a grenade. You might be a little bit familiar with the style of grenade from some games, but essentially what happens is you throw it on the ground and it pulses damage. The way the damage works is the closer you are to the center, the more damage it does, with the max being 60 damage every 1 second, and it pulses 4 times, so a max of 240 damage. Or if you're on the edge, it pulses for 25 times 4 for a maximum of 100 damage. So the idea is that you want to get the target to be as close to the center as possible to receive as much damage as possible. The other things to know are that you can left click throw it like you can with the flash. You can also right click throw it. It changes the distance. It doesn't change the detonation timers like it does with the flashes, purely because this only relies on when it hits the ground. So you can also bounce it off things as well to get like a bit of a desired effect maybe later on. With lineups and stuff, it's quite useful to have it bouncing and stuff like that as well. But yeah, that is basically all the kit so far for KO. The last thing I want to talk about is the ultimate, which is a little bit more in depth. So the last main bit of his kit to talk about is his ultimate. His ultimate, what it says on the tooltip, is basically instantly overload with polarized radiant energy that pulses from KO in a massive radius. Enemies hit with pulses are suppressed for a short duration, while overloaded KO gains combat stim and can be restabilized, blah blah blah. Basically, all that happens is you use your knife as an ability on your person and it pulses in a really big radius. It doesn't tell you who's nearby like it does with the knife, but it does the same effect with suppressing them. So abilities and ults and stuff like that can't be used. Like I said, it stops the Razel, it stops Jettle, it stops Sova, it stops a lot of people's ults that are specific to the character themselves. So things like Killjoy, for example, if her ultimate's already down, it can't be stopped. But to prevent her from using it, you can press it before that and she can't use it after that for the next however long the ult lasts. Basically, the ult does last for a really long time as well, but if you die, it ends. If you go down, it carries on slightly, but I'm going to show you now what it looks like when you get ulted. So here's what the ultimate actually looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and do this just so we have a bit of a timer going down. So the point is now, if I've got like a flash in my hand or something like that, when you're ulted, you'll see that you are now suppressed. And it will continue pulsing all the way as long as you're in the radius to where you can't use your abilities whatsoever. Just to show you what it looks like as well when you catch someone in the knife, because I forgot to show it. When you use it, you'll get a pop-up on the left side of your screen underneath your map that will tell you how many people have been caught within the knife's radius. Now the next thing I want to kind of talk about with KO is a little bit more about the tech. Specifically, we're going to talk a bit more about the flash tech and the way that you're going to use it. So the first thing I want to show is just a little bit of how you can apply KO's tech to enable your team to do more with the round. So at the start of the round, for example, on something like Bind right now, I'm going to show you that just a simple flash over the top here, what it essentially does is it pops out all the way into like sort of top mid around this area here. Now, as an attacker, if you're coming through and you're fast picking off the barriers coming down, you're looking about here, with the flash popping just about there in your eyesight. So, if you have a teammate playing in hookah and you yourself playing here and wanting to do the flash for him, all you got to do is it's simple. In this area, just hit it inside the middle of this rectangle while you sit on top of these boxes in this corner. You simply just throw it, and it enables him to go and do a fast peek where the enemies are going to be like full blind. This is just like the most simple thing ever, but people don't understand that you can enable your team so much better if you just use things as a setup. This used to happen all the time in CSGO where people would flash for each other. You'd have a support role that literally played perfectly always for that. And this is kind of what the Initiator does. But specifically KO is really good at it. Now let's say you're playing solo and you don't want to flash for your team, or there's no one to flash for anyway. The best thing to do is you right click flash. If you do a left click flash somewhere to try and get it to pop, it takes a long time, really easy to turn from, and it's just kind of bad. The best thing to do is a right click flash. The issue with the right click flash is that it's also kind of slow, and it's, you know, if you're someone that's like fast peeking, it's hard to get the timings down perfectly, and it's obviously the point about mastering it. The best thing to do though is when you're doing your right click flash out to the side, I would always suggest that you try and do it a little bit more behind you, but as long as it still flashes the area that you're trying to get. And let me explain. If you flash like that, someone has all the time directly of it coming across their screen to react to it. If you get it to pop just here, for example, along this line, where it still sees down there, it's much better than it popping all the way out here. The point is, this and this are probably 50 milliseconds of reaction time difference. And playing against some of the top players and trying to get higher in the ranks, people are going to be reacting to this one way more than they are going to be reacting to this one. The point is, the angle of the flash here is so much narrower that it pops so much quicker for them and they can't react. So you'll see that's popped just past the barrier of just here. And if you do it like this, you can see how far it gets out. It gets all the way halfway out into the walkway. That might have been a bit lengthy, it might have been a bit pointless, but for someone that's trying to learn the fine details and the nitty-gritty of how to play KO properly, the flashes and learning where to pop them appropriately are the best. So like I said, just to summarize again, if you want to flash for your team, it's so simple, easiest little lineups. You can go and find them on like websites like tracker.gg and whatever else and go and find them. But specifically, flashing for your team is really easy with a left click if you just coordinate. And flashing for yourself, don't just do the simple right click to the side or whatever. Like, don't do that. Try and take your time. Think about where you want it to pop. Think about how you can reduce their reaction time to your flash so that you have the highest chance of peeking out and getting away with it free. So for example, I'll show you. If you're stood like here and you want to flash someone down there, you flash, you swing, you're a little bit blind for half a second, but they're going to be full blind because they're looking up this way. Apologies if that was lengthy, but it's important to get the important tech out of the way so that people understand it. While we're still on topic of flashes, there's some other important little things to know as well. The left click flash, because it takes so long, is a great tool to sort of trick your opponent, much like people do with the sky flash, where they send it but don't pop it. Well, with the KO flash, you can kind of do the same thing. What you essentially want to do is, if you can imagine that someone's playing in a corner like this, somewhere like that, and you're pushing up long, what you can do is, rather than try and actually, flash them properly, at higher ranks, people are going to always try and turn and play away from that. They'll know your KO from the footsteps. What you can do instead is chuck a really obvious flash down, something like that, where you know they're going to turn from it 100% of the time, but you can chuck that down, and all you do is just run in and just go in straight after it anyway. Because they're going to spend so much time trying to turn from that they aren't going to be paying attention to you running up on them. Now this might seem like really dumb, like it might just seem really dumb to do, but the point is, when you throw something so obvious, they're not going to expect you to do this. And maybe at Uber ranks, maybe like Radiant top 100 people, maybe you're going to expect someone to do something stupid like that, but grinding up through the ranks, going Ascendant Immortal, people aren't really going to expect you to flash peek off that. They're going to expect it to get flashed properly themselves. They're going to be playing for that. So when someone does something stupid like that, they're not ready for it. Simple as. I showed you the defender sort of flash that you might use on like Bind or something, but as well as an attacker is also important ones to do to enable your team to break out easier too. Something like chucking a flash over here is pretty perfect, because what happens is, return from it, that flash that I've just thrown over long comes and pops into sight somewhere around here, and it's going to pick up a few people. Maybe someone playing Spawn, maybe if someone plays Cubby, maybe if someone's playing like a Rat, like a Cypher or something. Same with him being here, or his camera or something like that. The point is, he's going to get blinded. But if that one doesn't work up long, there's also ones that you can throw from outside mid as well if you get control. Really simple ones. If you try and aim above the lines here, what happens is, if you see through the wall, that flash went and popped just up here. This flash gets people that play for elbow, it gets people that play pretty much for sight. Someone that plays here, which is a fairly common spot, or here, they're going to get blinded just that little bit. It won't be perfect, but the point is, it's an unturnable flash. Both of them on either side are unturnable. So the thing with like maps like this, where it's really open, has high skyboxes, you can get away with using these flashes. On something like maybe a smaller map, Icebox inside you can't really get away with, but on the other side you can. There are other maps as well. Ascent maybe isn't that great of a map for it. It's obviously got the higher skyboxes, but the map itself and the sites are really closed in, so you can't really use the KO flashes in that sense. But for something like Bind, you've got the heights, you can use it. There's fast peeks off the flashes as well. You can easily flash over the top of these buildings, so just something to be aware of, that you can flash out for your team like that as well. It doesn't always have to be through the main chokes. You can get a bit more advanced and technical with that as well. And just as sort of a reminder again as well, the knife has a sphere radius. If I go up on the map and use it somewhere up high like this, you can see how big the ball really is. And for maps with verticality, or for maps where you're trying to like grab certain places that are a little bit more difficult and you have lineups that aren't great for it, using something like that encapsulates all of it into one. So just remember that it has the height that you can use as well. It's not always just, using it so basic. Like, you've got to get away from the idea of just using your kit in the most obvious ways. Like, you've got to get away from the idea of coming out and just chucking a flash like that. You've got to get away with the idea of just using them like that. Like, unless you're playing for yourself, it's pointless. What you need to be doing is using the proper flashes and setting your team up appropriately. You need to be looking up the lineups, looking up the mollies to use, looking at the knife lineups that you can use as well, and using them where you're going to get much more effectiveness out of your kit. Something quickly as well on the knife, like I said before, they can shoot it. So when you're doing your lineups, it's important to try and find ones that land in places that aren't always going to be able to get shot so easily, or maybe they're a little bit more difficult just in general to look for. So when you're using them in hookah, for example, using them against this wall if you're worried about someone playing close is great, because it's really hard to figure out where you're supposed to wallbang for them to shoot it. So using it close is so much better than using it somewhere like that where it can be so easily shot because it's so obvious. So just bear that in mind as well. When you're using your knife, make sure you're using it in places that are a little bit more difficult to be shot or, you know, disabled. But I mean, like I said before, the KO molly is the same as the Killjoy molly in the sense of how heavy they are, so they go the same distance. So if you're looking for lineups, you can also use the Killjoy ones as well, if someone's got really good videos on them, or if there's like a good website that you find that you can pick up all the mollies from. If you can't find KO specific ones, look for the Killjoy ones, they're exactly the same. I'm going to show you quickly now just like my two favourite ones to use on bind because I'm here right now, but I'll also then quickly go on the website and just show you a couple of the others that you can look into too. But I mean, this one is just like a most like basic one ever to land like for the default plan. But it's the same as the Killjoy one. If you're just curious about it, how you line it up, come all the way into the corner of this box, and you're looking for this leaf exactly. You just want to just put it somewhere like on the tip. That's a flash. You want to put it somewhere roughly on the tip of the leaf, and just left click press. Really simple, and it lands for the default. The other one that I quite like doing on bind sometimes, I'm just showing you while I'm here, is just here. Come in the corner of these boxes, and you're looking for just where the join is between that sort of antenna and in the pole. Press it, and it should go all the way over and land for the plant for showers. Again, just pointless ones to look at. Again, kind of pointless, but I'm going to show you some of the ones on the website now. So we're over on tracker.gg now. This is where you're going to probably find most of your usable lineups. What you can do is you go on the lineups tab up here, you go and find the agent. Like I said, you can use the Killjoy if you want, but we'll go look at KO for now. You'll find the map that you want to play on, whether you're on the attack or defensive side, and you can sort it and filter it by however else you want. We want to do obviously for the grenade for starters, and all you can do is just go through all the maps that are in the rotation right now and just learn them. So just as an example, here's one for Haven C Long from the website that you can find. Goes all the way into the back corner. He aims and shows you where he puts his crosshair, show you where you need to put yours as well when you're playing. And all he does is another simple left click throw, and that goes and lands for the default plant. Super simple, and there are hundreds if not thousands of lineups for you to come and learn on the website, all really easy. I'll link it below, come check it out, and yeah. But there are also other lineups on there too. You can find knife lineups, you can find flashes. If you can't find anything you're looking for, YouTube is a great tool to come find it as well. In this guide, like I said, it was all about mastering it specifically and using the tech, how you need to use the tech. For actual lineups and individual map specific things, you should go and learn them yourselves individually. This isn't the video for that. I'll maybe make some of them in the future for lineups, but just for the most valuable information on how to play them, hopefully this guide was the one. If you've learned anything, let me know down below. If there's anything I missed, if there's any tips you've got for other people when you play KO, let us know in the comments down below. Make sure you check out some of my other videos. I've got a lot more coming out soon as well. Let me know what you want to see. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more. I'm live most days on my Twitch or maybe Kick. All of them in my link tree. Go follow everything now. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
一种似乎能够提供无限能量的新型能源被发现，并引来了其他世界的记忆。敌人攻击我们，企图夺走我们的元晶。为此，我们聚集在一起。我们是受到征召的英雄，我们誓死守护我们的元晶以及我们的世界。
嘿，新来的，在正式战斗之前。 我们先热热身，拿起前面的这把武器，是开火干掉敌人。漂亮，精准一击，很好，跟我来。小心，前面有敌人。记住，保持站立射击，可以让弹道更稳定，射击更精准。 现在试试用站立射击干掉敌人。不错，跟紧我。接下来，使用你的技能探测墙后的敌人。
侦查该区，
敌人藏在掩体后，击败他。
别动，
学得挺快嘛。 要敢前进，能避免发出脚步声，悄悄靠近敌人。继续前进，切换至持刀可以提升移动速度，走得更快。接下来，让我见识下你的枪法，射击前面的目标。看得漂亮。不错嘛，这就叫教得好，学得好。等等，我收到了紧急呼叫。贤者，怎么了？什么情况？
有敌人入侵，需要支援。
坚持住，我们马上来。准备就位，如下是本次行动的作战计划：战胜敌方队伍，阻止敌方通过爆能器夺取我方援境。地图中有 A、B 2个重要区域，敌人攻占任意一个区域，就能部署爆能器夺走我们的援境。敌人可能向 A 区、B 区或中路发起进攻。现在打开商店，购买武器、护甲和技能来武装自己。队友将防守 A 区与 B 区，我们去防守中路。小心，前面有敌人！敌人升起了独木，快使用巡敌剑，按住技能按钮并拖动，可快速释放。很好，我们继续前进。中路遭遇敌人，大招好了，记住，击败敌人可以为你的大招充能。
呼叫 ，A 点有敌情。
开用你的无人机侦察一下 A 区的情况。
闪光弹！
敌人占领了 A 点，需要支援。
部署爆能器。
前方可能有敌人埋伏，先使用巡敌剑探测。
扫描前方。
快使用大招消灭敌人！快拆除爆能器！
狂欢开始了！休想得逞！
秘密，装备一颗可摧毁的虚灵竹伞。我消息。
talking right now. Feel like the comeback kick, got no time to spare. Double up the score, 22-4. You know I win a lot, gotta win one more. On a hot street, never gets old. Sorta with the ace and my team went gold.
So, the Valorant Premier Beta is returning once again, which if you don't know is Valorant's take on in-house amateur tournaments and competition. Premier returns on the 11th of July, lasting until the 13th of August. You can apply and join Premier beginning on the first day of the 11th of July until the 20th of July, upon which time the games will start on that very same day. Weekly matches will run until the 12th of August, upon which if you qualify again, you will then be entered into the playoff tournaments on the 13th of August, at which time all participation rewards will be handed out to players. You will receive weapon accessories and a trophy card if you win at least one match during the Premier Beta. Some improvements have been made to Premier, with team creation receiving an update alongside the match schedule being adjusted for each region individually. Finally, playoff matches will now have live scores for tracking and will feature in a brand new format. All dates and times are dependent on your region, so please bear that in mind. If you've forgotten what Premier is or how to play, then here's a reminder from the initial release trailer.
The Premier Beta path will have 3 phases: enrollment, playing weekly matches with your team, and tournament day to determine a champion. There are 3 requirements to play in Premier Beta: SMS verification, completion of a ranked placement during any act ever, and of course, a team. The team needs 5 to 7 players. You can form your own or join one. So start thinking about who you'll play with. Once your roster is set, it's time for the owner to enroll your team and select your zone. The zone determines what servers you'll play on and also decides your match schedule. You'll then be seeded into one of 20 divisions based on the average MMR of your team's top 5 players. Finally, your Premier team is ready to compete. Each week, you'll play up to 2 matches. View the schedule, map rotation, and queue up from the Team Hub. Each match earns points towards your Premier score. More for winning, none if you don't play. Your Premier score determines whether you qualify for the playoff tournament. Now fast forward to the last day of the beta. You've fought and brought your team's Premier score up, making it to the tournament phase for your division. Congrats. Tournament matches will use a map pick and ban system, similar to pro matches. Each team in the tournament starts in the main bracket. Win all your matches and your team will be crowned champions, earning a unique player card, title, and of course, bragging rights. If you lose, your team will move to a consolation bracket, where you'll compete for 3rd place.
And there you have it. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below and I'll be sure to answer them as quickly as possible. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with the bell ticked, just so you stay up to date on all information for Valorant. And I will catch you in the next video. So welcome to the 2nd episode of the Deadlock 2 Radiant series. If you missed the 1st episode, you'll be able to go check it out in the description of this video here. Also, if this video hits 15 likes, I'll bless one of you in the comments that tells me what your favourite Vandal skin is. Enjoy the video.
Last player standing. Spike down B.
Clean kill.
Why is he holding it? What's he doing? This guy's just got infinite awareness.
One enemy remains.
Molly.
Ultimate ready. Pull them to their grave. Reeling them in.
One enemy remaining.
Go meet your maker.
Then fucking hell. Getting fucking spammed. What's the Brim doing? Oh no! Fucking hell!
Player standing. Spike down mid.
You lost it.
Last player standing.
Oh, she's been spammed through smoke. No, mate.
You've not. 30 seconds left.
What is wrong with you?
I had the bomb!
Let's go.
Pull them to their graves.
Oh, sorry.
Reeling them in.
One enemy remaining.
Go and meet your maker.
She's out, she's down.
In your trap, in your trap.
I hear you, I catch you. Reloading. 3 down.
One enemy remaining.
Back.
There is. One less. No escape. Where are you? Blocking movement.
One enemy remaining.
It's in that corner.
Spike down mid.
B.
Spike planted.
Reeling them in.
Yeah, she's behind.
No escape.
I'll ward you after that.
One enemy remaining.
More bodyguards,
Spike
maybe?
down C.
Yeah, nice.
All three walked through after my wall went down, by the way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Definitely. Is that default? I think one's default, yeah?
Yeah.
One enemy remaining.
Could be under me.
Probably low.
I don't know, maybe.
Last
On D,
player
on D.
standing.
Prepare for hell.
My ult is not ready.
Oh! Fucking hell.
Nice.
That was a fairly good play by him, it just didn't work out very well.
Ultimate ready.
GG's.
GG's.
We've had to work hard for that, by the way.
Yeah, the last two rounds were a bit tech, weren't they?
Fucking hell.
I tell you what though, like, I think this is a good counter to Neon.
Yeah.
Just with the way
if it
you
can
can
just stop
set
us
up.
steaming
Yeah,
in.
yeah. Let's see where I go.
I know Yoru's actually quite a good counter to Deadlock.
I've played Gold 1 again.
In my place. Gold.
Gold 1.
Gold 1!
Barrier deployed.
Mid. Oh.
Sage things.
Reeling them in. No escape. So long.
One enemy remaining. Spike down B.
Pull them to their grave. Reeling them in. Target.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
What the fuck just happened?
Oh man.
Left. Spike down mid.
Not there.
One enemy remaining.
I'm out of bullets.
Wow, she's come to us two rounds in a row.
Hostile down.
Oh, both, they're both.
Drop it. On top of.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining. Thrifty.
Nice.
Jeg prøvde ikke engang.
Oh, done a dead cop.
Only if we had good weapons.
My power does not.
No.
Scratch one.
Nice.
One enemy remaining.
Ultimate ready. Sound sensor destroyed.
Help me, please. You baiting pricks. Please help me. Where is he? Info. I've seen pings on the map.
Nice.
You baiting pricks, honestly. One of your tower, one of your site. Well, I'm tilted. I'm so tilted. She's satcheled out, fucking sat peeking me main here. Got a teammate tower and a teammate site, and nobody's helping me fucking that.
I was walling though, bro.
Multiple enemies A. Sound sensor up. Sound sensor up. Pull them to their grave. Reeling them in. No escape.
She's getting sucked free of charge.
No
How are they outstand?
Spike down A. One enemy remaining.
What do you mean how they outsend? You're the one playing it. You Danish.
No, I wasn't.
Nice.
Phoenix was there.
Valorant's brand new Champions 2023 bundle has been revealed, and I'm going to give you the full scoop on everything that's coming and all the important details to follow. Playing in the background, you're going to see some of the gameplay for both the knife and the bandle, as well as some of its upgraded features and finishes like we normally would see. Firstly though, let's talk about cost. The entire bundle together will cost 6,175 VP, with the individual items broken down as follows. The vandal will cost 2,675, the knife will cost 5,350, and your little bits like the player card, buddy spray. Player card is going to be 375, buddy 475, and the spray will be 325. The bundle is expected to release today or tomorrow if you're watching this on the release of this video, around the 4th or the 5th of August. Let me know what you think about the bundle. Personally, I think the bundle sounds and looks amazing, whilst the knife leaves a little bit more to be desired. It's important to know though, and remember that these items won't be released again, so if you're at least slightly interested, it might be worth considering it even more. Apologies for being a little bit late with the news on the Champions bundle. I know it's already been out there for probably a day or two now, but hopefully for some of you this is new information and you got to see the gameplay for the first time yourselves now. Let me know what you think about the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video. So here she is, Agent 23 Deadlock. We have finally had the reveal, along with some kit potential reveal or leaks. We're not entirely sure, but they look pretty real right now. They do seem kind of broken, like some of the pros pointed out, so let's see what actually comes of them. But let's go through some of them and let's talk about the face reveal a bit more. So on her kit, on her face reveal, we can see that she has her frisbee and we see some sort of mollies, and we also see her mechanical arm as well. But we also had some weird leaks from Kingdom Laboratories, who reported on their abilities having some serious broken potential. We can see that she has a frisbee which turns into this wall. We see that she has some sort of alarm bot that you throw onto a wall. We see that she has a grenade that turns into a web on the ground, and the ultimate apparently can be cast like Sova, but has a KJ-like effect. Person dies if they're not rescued, a bit like KO. But let's slow it down. So first of all, we have the wall, which is the frisbee, which looks unbelievably broken. Supposedly you can't walk through this barrier. Equip the barrier mesh disc, shoot throw it forward. When it touches the ground, the disc creates barriers that prevent the movement of characters from the source point. Next up, we have the sonic sensor, a sensor that creates a jolt if it picks up enemy sounds. Then we have the gravnet. When the gravnet hits the ground, it forces enemies caught in it to bend over and move slowly. And then finally, we have the ultimate. Shoot to unleash a nanowire pulse. This blow catches the first enemy it hits. The captured enemy is pulled along the nanowire and dies if it comes to an end, otherwise it is released. Obviously these look completely broken, completely busted, but the artwork looks really well done. It ties in nicely to the kit. And with that close to release, I'd have a hard time figuring out whether this is fake or true. It does seem incredibly broken, like the pros pointed out and other people have said. So I feel like I want to believe it. But there we go. We've had the face reveal along with some potential abilities leaked. If they're wrong, I will let you guys know and I'll change the title and everything. But I think this might be real. Anyway, stay tuned just in case we find out any more information. I'll be making more update videos as soon as we know. And I will catch you guys in the next video.
Kingdom was a distraction. They said they were making the world better. Bull.
Hey, look this way, look at me now. This freak game, I'm breaking it down. If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. If not, it's easy to find your way out. Been running around with a chip on deck, making it happen, not what they expect. They gon' start hating when they see the check. Don't need you to like me, but need your respect. Too many went fake on me, too many went waste on me. Run around, throw the snakes on me. Say they ride with the brakes on me. Too many went fake on me, too many went waste on me. Run around, throw the snakes on me. Say they ride with the brakes on.
They picked the wrong day to mess with our world.
Eagerness will undo them.
Keep your guard up.
Oh my god.
Oh no, swing him now, swing him now!
Nah, swing it.
Hang on.
Alright.
Okay, you don't need me.
kills.
Phoenix minus Phoenix.
Good job.
Oh my god. That was disgusting.
Yeah, two behind you. Oh!
Nice goal. Oh, huge flash. Nice goal.
Nice. Hit. No. Ooh.
Good job, man.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Nice.
Oh, okay.
So you've clicked on this video, which means that you want to learn how to play Gekko. And if you really want to learn how to play Gekko, I've got a question for you straight away. When you play Valorant, how often do you think about the abilities that you actually use? Do you just press the buttons when you feel like it? Or do you actually wait and think about how you can impact the round with your ability usage? Let me know down in the comments what you do. So welcome to the Gekko guide. Ultimately, what you need to know about Gekko is that he's the initiator with probably the highest win percentage the longer the round lasts, just because of his reusability with his abilities. Now Gekko has three main abilities that I'm going to go through, and then I'll go through the ultimate after that as well. Starting off, let's go with the easy one, which is the Mosh. Now the Mosh pit, according to the tooltip, says equip Mosh, fire to throw a Mosh like a grenade, alt fire to throw underhand. Upon landing, Mosh duplicates across a large area, then after a short delay explodes. Essentially, it's a normal molly and it explodes after a certain amount of predetermined time. The further you are on the outside radius of the circle, the less damage you take, and obviously the closer you are in, the more damage you take. Pretty simple. Next up, we have the main component, we have Wingman. The Wingman tooltip says, equip Wingman, fire to send Wingman forward seeking enemies. Wingman unleashes a concussive blast towards the first enemy he sees. Alt fire when targeting a spike or planted spike to have Wingman defuse or plant to the spike. To plant, Gekko must have the spike in his inventory. When Wingman expires, he reverts into a globule that you can pick up. Interact with the globule, blah blah blah. Same with all the other abilities as well, apart from Mosh. And so the final bit of kit that we have is Dizzy. Dizzy's tooltip says, equip Dizzy, fire to send Dizzy soaring, I've said Dizzy a lot, fire to send Dizzy soaring through the air. Dizzy charges and unleashes a plasma blast at enemies in line of sight. Enemies hit by her plasma are blinded. When Dizzy expires, she reverts into a dormant globule, like with the other abilities already, and you can pick it back up after a short cooldown. And that is Gekko's three main components of his kit explained, and now lastly we have the ultimate, which is Thrash. Thrash's tooltip says, equip Thrash, fire to link with Thrash's mind and steer her through enemy territory. Activate to lunge forward and explode, detaining any players in a small radius. When Thrash expires, blah blah blah, you can pick it up. The same with the Flash, same with Wingman. You can pick it back up after you've used it, which is why I say Gekko is the most highest percentage round winning as the round progresses. The longer the round lasts, the better your chances are of winning with Gekko. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each ability again and talk about some of the tech that you can do with it and how you can use that best to win your rounds. So probably the most unimportant thing about Gekko is his Mosh pit, purely because you can't pick it up. That doesn't play into the ability usage that he has in the round that makes him so productive. Mosh is a one-time use, and like the rest of his kit, it's all pretty lackluster. The only benefit, like I've said a million times already, is that you can reuse. Mosh should be used like any other molly, like for any other character, like Brim or maybe KO. It should be used for clearing angles, clearing places on sites, essentially. On a map like Lotus, something like clearing like back site with a Mosh is probably a good idea, or if you know a post-plant lineup, you could also run those as well. If you're interested in any sort of lineup videos, let me know in the comments as well. I'm happy to do them for any character. Now, like I was saying, Mosh is relatively underpowered, same with the rest of the kit. It should be used to clear back sites, like things like that, or like I said, if you have lineups. But yeah, you can combine it like we can with the Fade Seas maybe, or even some new abilities like Deadlock's new Crouch, Grenade, Grab Net, something like that. And that's the only way you can really get any usability out of Mosh pit. Now we're on to Wingman, which is the main component of Gekko's kit. Wingman can be used unlimited times as long as you pick him back up. Now Wingman is similar to a raised boombot in the way that he can clear angles, so he can be used on entry instantly at the start of a round. And what happens with Wingman is if you just left click press him, he'll go like a raised boombot and go in that one direction, and he'll bounce off the walls, blah blah blah. And once he's finished, he'll turn into one of these little globules like we said on the tooltip. Now, what is really cool about Wingman is that he can be used to plant the spike. So as long as you have the spike as Gekko, you can look at a site, and you can do this from anywhere as long as you can see the site. You can right-click press, and what will happen is he'll go and take the spike and go and plant the bomb for you. This can also be used to defuse the bomb as well. So let's say you're in a position where you can't quite get to the bomb yourself, you can send him in and bait him or have him actually defuse the bomb for you. And after he's planted the bomb for you, you can go back and pick him up again as well. Now, like I said, there's a lot of usability and reusability with this kit. The fact that you can pick it up means that you can use stuff probably 3 or 4 times throughout the round as long as you stay alive long enough, and you'll have it again for post-plant if you're being careful. Next up, we have Dizzy, which again is very similar to Wingman with the way that you can use it. Use it at the start of the round to peek a corner, and you go ahead and pick it straight back up once it's dropped, and you can use it again to enter into the site and also in the post-plant situation. So, you know, you've used it once on the entry, you pick it back up, there's a short cooldown, use it again, and you can enter yourself onto site. Now, Dizzy is quite cool because it can flash everyone that it sees. So what you can do is, as a setup, just like something on Lotus for example, you can throw it up like this, and what will happen is you'll be able to see it pop all the way from down here as well. So on defense, you could use that as sort of like a flash for your teammates, and it's reusable. As long as you throw it straight up and not over the wall. I mean, you can throw it over the wall and come grab it around the front, but it's safer. You can just throw it straight up in the air and pick it back up, and I'll show you that now quickly. So let's say you want to flash for your teammate peeking out C long, you can throw it straight up in the air, it'll blind them like I just showed you, and you can pick it straight back up. So in case your teammate dies on that peak, you'll get this back in 10 seconds off the cooldown, and you can use it again for a retake. And finally, we have Thrash. Now, here's what Thrash looks like when you use it. Thrash will go forward on its own. You don't have to have your hand on any of your keyboard or your mouse or anything like that. It'll go forward on its own. Now, Thrash can also be stopped still if you want to maybe try like a bait or like a technical play or something. You can hold S to stop it going forward, and you can do it like just stay still.
She's all done running.
And like I said with Thrash as well, you can also pick it back up and it'll have a cooldown again of around 10 seconds. And when you consider the fact that there's an ultimate ability that detains people and can be reused even after, you know, capturing someone, it's kind of broken. So now that's the ability to like sort of go into a bit more detail. What sort of tech can you produce with them? Well, I showed you the flash over the top and how that works, but let me show you some other things as well. So because of the fear factor of something like Wingman or a raised boombot, you can peek off them as well, and not many people realize this. Something you can do is that you can send Wingman in or your raised boombot. You can left click press, send them in, and you can peek off this as well, because the enemies are going to be looking to destroy Wingman chasing after them rather than trying to shoot you straight away. If they stay and hold the angle on you, rather than trying to shoot Wingman, they're going to get stunned, clapped, and it's an easy trade for your teammates if they still manage to kill you anyway. So like I said, all you need to do is use Wingman on an angle where you know you'll be able to peek, and it's probably going to lock onto people. So if I use him here, I know he's going to lock onto someone there more than likely because he'll be within that view range. So if I use him like this, press that, I can then peek off that and know that they're going to be looking for him there. And it works the same way, you can do it for any angle whatsoever. Just make sure that you are peeking off him, and make sure that you are having teammates around you as well to trade just in case it goes south. Something else with Gekko is that he's really good at faking sites. Because people are scared of Wingman planting the bomb in places they can't get to, what you can do is lay down a lot of smokes and take control of a site whilst your entire team is on the other side, just by using a couple smokes and your Wingman and your flash ability, Dizzy. So let's say, for example, you got smoked up onto C, no one's peeking you off the start, you can send Wingman in as if you're going to plant it, fake plant for them, the bomb is on the other side, and all you got to do is just use your utility here to fake the push out onto the site. Use your mosh pit back site, use your Wingman to try clear an angle, use your Dizzy to take control of a site, use all of that abilities, all that utility, and they're going to be scared of the bomb getting down, they're going to be scared of getting flashed, they're going to be scared of getting stuck in mosh pit, and they're going to be scared of your Thrash if you decide to invest it as well, although I wouldn't. What this is going to do is, that much utility, because Gekko is just so full of that utility, it's all going to make the enemy team rotate super fast, especially in ranked. And I think ultimately that's where Gekko shines the most, in ranked play. Somewhere where you can use his ability over and over and over again, as long as you have teammates providing help for you. So it's better to duo or trio queue really with him. One more thing to add as well is that people don't realise that you can pop Thrash mid-air as well. When you use Thrash normally, if I left click press and just let's say left click, he's going to dive and go to that spot. But what you can do instead is, if you know someone's closer, or let's say you want to try to grab more people and you don't want it to go all the way, you can actually double tap left click to pop it in mid-air. And popping it in mid-air means that you're going to hit that radius closer to where you actually want it to press, and you can be more precise and accurate with it as well. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for Gekko's tech. Hopefully you learned something in the video. If you did, let me know down in the comments. Make sure you stay subscribed to the channel because I've got a bunch of videos coming out as well. Make sure you check out my Deadlock only to Radiant series I'm doing, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Right, place your bets. Do you think I'm ever going to hit Radiant on this account playing Deadlock only? Yes or
Probably
no?
not.
Well, see, that's just not confident, is it?
No, right? I don't lack confidence in you, but
Match
I reckon people just throw if you fucking when you're insta-lock.
Yeah, well,
That's got the worst mental.
yeah, well, that's running up on me. Aren't
Two.
One enemy remaining.
All enemies.
50 on Omen.
Last player standing.
What is that fucking aim punch?
One enemy remaining. Clutch.
Easy.
Nice.
I have
Let's
seen
go.
death.
Down B.
Come on, Karen, get it.
To their grave. Reeling them in.
Pulled him in.
Chamber 101.
Wait, how many backside? There's like 5 people here. Oh, I killed her.
Right between the eyes.
Joke's over.
What is happening this round? What is happening? What is happening? I can't wait to see me on defense. I feel so bad on attack. I can't do
It's
anything.
so good I can buy it. Not you, you horrible bastard.
No, you didn't specify.
Thanks for the buy.
Oh, did you come through?
Yeah.
I haven't dead. Someone's backside. Oh, in CT.
One
Dead.
enemy remaining.
Backside somewhere. He's gonna charm me. I've got 1 bullet. What do you know about me tapping him? Ah, lad. We just ran through smoke, isn't it?
1 bullet.
I'm not even going to use that gun.
Watch and learn.
Why not?
Because I got this one.
Listening.
Oh.
Ultimate ready.
Oh.
Hold them to their grave.
Get me up here, though. Pronto. Hold him in.
Reeling them in.
He's coming. He's coming down here.
I'm all gonna fucking.
Listening. Sensor trip.
He's been terrored. On flank.
Okay. Throwing net. Blocking movement.
Winding my life. My wall's broke.
Enemy spotted B.
Why did that wall break there? What the?
One enemy remaining. Spike down B.
Joke's
Sound
over.
sensor up.
You're dead.
Sound sensor up. Blocking movement. Enemy spotted. Sensor tripped. Minion. Throwing net. Cutting their vision. Ultimate. Pull them to their grave. Reeling them in.
Omen's on site.
What? One shot Gekko. Oh no. Oh, she got
One
it nice. So
enemy
good.
remaining.
Oh wow.
But I died quite a few times in a weird way that round. I saw.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I seem to die a fair bit to like running or just like on an off angle thing. Right, what rings were in that? Silvers and golds.
Fucking yeah. Shit, that's silver and gold, bro. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
I'm using a new crosshair. Let's try a new one.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, this Brim, the Brim on the other team's a madman.
Right, you getting me entry then or what?
Yeah.
Revealing.
Yeah, look,
Oh,
look,
no.
look. Hold the smoke.
Madman is in good.
Hold the smoke.
Reloading.
He's in there, 100%.
Listening.
Yeah, he's trapped now.
Sensor tripped.
Yeah, he is. He has to be.
Oh, I did 78 on Sky.
I've wasted my smoke.
Right, rotate. I think rotate.
One
One
CT.
hookah. They're breaking my wall. I'm trying to. Wait, peek CT.
Enemy is in defender spawn.
One hookah window. Stay alive now. Play life. You win the round for us.
Yeah.
Stay down at me.
One enemy remaining.
Other one's in spawn trapped. Can get out now. Easy.
Well played, fella.
So I mean, helping it in that.
One enemy remaining.
Just wait, just wait, just wait. But see how much time that takes off the round though, like, that they have to sit there breaking it.
Scanning ahead.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Is the smoke there?
Nah, yeah.
Is he running up on me? Yeah.
Problem solved.
Dun.
Pull them to their grave. You will not kill my allies.
Two flanking? Yeah, sorry about that push.
I caught one.
There's two coming from here.
Surprises. Nothing movement. Throwing net.
Oh my god.
One enemy remaining.
Four down.
Ooh. Getting up, Brim behind you.
Get out of my way. Pull them to their grave.
Just caught up.
Them in. Great betray.
Oh, Sage is there, tight left.
No escape. Blocking movement. My ult's ready.
One enemy remaining. Defenders
GG,
win.
what the fuck is that?
13-0, the second game. After that first one, it's just not serious, is it?
No.
Joke of a game.
Ranks with these fun. Just didn't even get to do out, bro.
Golds and a bunch of unranked in that one, and obviously Amelia.
This guy's one. Directly behind us. Of course he goes Odin.
Pull them to their grave.
Just pull, just pull.
Last player
We got him.
standing.
Everyone just peeks
That's
and died
it.
after it. Never mind.
Sad. They did not care about saving it. Side of smoke.
Oh! Don't go spawn. Thank you.
Fuck, Jet, Sage doesn't smoke.
Jeremy.